So last night we were talking about how in Virginia, 51% of residents voted to strip away the Democratic voice of the other 49. That's right. They passed a referendum saying they're going to redraw the districts of the state so that 5 districts stretch with tiny little strips into Alexandria and Fairfax, which basically eliminates 4 Republican seats. Well, not even 24 hours later, a court has ruled it unconstitutional, barred it, and refused to issue a stay pending appeal. The AG's pissed. He's like, well, we're going to appeal this. And the judge is like, yeah, go ahead and do it. Basically, they went through all of that just to flop onto their faces. Wow. I was a little black-pilled the other day seeing this happening because it's like the deep state literally is taking over Virginia as their last bastion after being crushed by Donald Trump. But they're even struggling to get it done down there. So, okay. Wow. You know, it's going to be a good day. We'll talk about that. And, of course, Ilhan Omar, she's in the news because she revised her what is it called? Her
financial disclosure.
There you go. This is Nick Sortor. He knows what I'm talking about. The financial disclosure, because apparently she's not a millionaire. She just accidentally claimed she was for some reason, and we'll talk about that. And then we'll talk about the war, for some reason, because I guess war and stuff. But Hegseth has fired the Secretary of the Navy. Just big news. We'll get into all that. Before we get started, we got a great sponsor for you. It is the State of Israel, who's proudly sponsored. I'm kidding, guys. We were joking before the show.
That's going to get clipped.
It's going to get clipped. Sponsored by the State of Israel, just to antagonize as many people who hate Israel as possible. No, it's cast brew coffee. In fact, it is but a humble cast brew coffee, where we have delicious coffee. We've got Appalachian Nights, probably the best coffee you will ever have in your life. I guarantee it. And my lawyers tell me I'm allowed to do that because it's an opinion statement and you can't tell me I'm wrong. In all seriousness, though, you should try it because it actually is the best coffee I've ever had because I made it. I did. I got a bunch of samples, mixed the flavors that I liked together. And we didn't actually expect Appalachian Nights to be our flagship coffee, but it started selling like crazy, and that's our bestseller. So definitely check it out. But we got our influencer lineup as well. All these different individuals got their different flavored coffees. You can pick those up, of course. You get Ian's Graphene Dream, all that good stuff. Don't forget to also become a member at timcast.com. As a member of our Discord community, you get access to the Discord community and the uncensored call-in portion, meaning if you want to watch the uncensored call-in portion, it's at rumble.com. But if you want to call in, you join our Discord server and you can talk to us and our guest Monday through Thursday, 10 p.m. The most important thing is it's not what you know, it's who you know. And as a member, you're part of this massive network of tens of thousands of people sharing information, building new things. And it's a great place to get started if you want to make a new project. Most importantly, it supports the work we are doing right now. If you like this show, you appreciate what you do, sign up at timcast.com. And don't forget to give a little love tap to that like button. And then share the show right now. Go on every social media platform. Just blast it out there. Call your best friend from college you haven't seen in a few years and be like, bro, you got to watch Timcast IRL right now. He's talking about you. Joining us tonight to talk about this and so much more is, you already figured out because I asked for his help. It's Nick Sortor.
Thank you for having me again, Tim. Appreciate you.
Who are you? What do you do?
I'm an independent reporter, and unfortunately, I'm spending a lot more time here in the D.C. area because there aren't as many ICE deportations happening. I guess we'll maybe talk about that at some point, but
you got to get on this fraud train.
Yeah,
there's so much.
It's everywhere. Like,
exactly.
Where do you start?
Throw a dart at a map. Hop on a plane. wait. No, it's got to be like you got to get all of the Democrat cities and states and put them in a big hat and then just pull one out and be like, let's roll. I bet you'll find crazy fraud.
I mean, I look at my messages every single day and people are like, oh, I found fraud here in this state. It's like, okay, I'll add it to the list. I think we're getting close to 50 at this point.
Are you like in a holding pattern for deportations right now where you kind of got your ear to the ground kind of, so that's why you haven't dove into any other stories?
Well, yeah, because I think that mass deportations are, if we go away from that, then may as well just give up the country at that point. Because we've got, the official number has been 20 million for 30 years now. And so we're saying that no illegals came in under Joe Biden. The numbers are BS. We're not deporting nearly enough people. And worst of the worst is code for amnesty. So
Indeed. Well, Ian is obviously here.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. At Ian Crossing, you find me on the internet, but I also got the real Tate Brown.
It's true. I'm the real one, and I am here, and I'm happy to be here. We also have
There's only one of them, and he's the real one, and I'm Carter Banks. And
let's get to the news, man. We got big news. Big news. Some say too big. CNN says Judge Barr's certification of Virginia redistricting results. State AG promises appeal. Well, heavens me. They say a judge in rural Southern Virginia on Wednesday ordered the results of Tuesday's vote not be certified on several grounds, including the state lawmakers did not follow their own rules in passing the redistricting referendum. Tazewell County Circuit Court Judge Jack Hurley also called the ballot language put to voters flagrantly misleading. I just want to stress, you're like a conservative-leaning guy in a rural area being told that 51% will strip you of your voice and you're a judge. You're going to be like, I bet this dude was sitting there watching it happening. He's like watching this show being like, I can't wait to get to work tomorrow.
oh yeah,
I am going to rubber stamp this thing so fast.
Yeah, well, and he's got a point. Like, I live in Virginia, and when I went and voted in this, I knew exactly what I was going in to vote. I had to like reread the language for a second because it was like, we want to reissue fairness for the upcoming elections. I was like, yeah, I'm in favor. Wait a second.
Fairness.
Like,
How do you
read
vote
it
no
twice.
on that? You know, that's the entire thing. So you go in there not knowing about it and being the fact that we decided that we were going to spend, and not we, I'm sorry, let me take that back. Not we. The RNC decided that they were going to dump $100 million into John Cornyn's race instead of this much more important race down in Virginia. A lot of people didn't know what they were even voting on, right? They're going out of the polls. You read the question that was super misleading. It's not like you got a map on the ballot. It was, did you guys read the question out last night, or do I need to do it again?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll pull it up.
Okay.
Virginia.
It's so
Yeah, that's
funny.
got a one-shot, like, kind of uninformed voters. There's no question about it. Because, again, you read the language, and again, if you have no idea what's going on, you're like, oh.
Should the Constitution of Virginia be amended to allow the General Assembly to temporarily adopt new congressional districts to restore fairness in the upcoming elections while ensuring Virginia's standard redistricting process resumes for all future redistricting after the 2030 census?
And so many people read restore fairness. Yeah, that's a good thing.
that's
I'll
great.
vote for that.
I mean, it's unbelievable. To your point, Nick. I mean, like the fundraising gap was what, 60 million, something like that, in that ballpark.
3-1.
3-1, utterly ridiculous. And then you have, like, again, John Cornyn getting his pot defended. You have, like, Chris LaCivita coming out on Twitter and, like, instead of showing you a little humility and being like, yeah, okay, maybe I fumbled this, instead he's, like, attacking, like, random guys on Twitter just out of nowhere.
Chris LaCivita wasn't being paid to help with it. He's being paid to try to force a rhino in. Like, keep in mind, this is a really big point here. It's not just about getting what's his name, John Cornyn, reelected. It's not like he's in a close race with a Democrat. They're trying to get John Cornyn to beat another Republican, a better Republican.
Right.
I mean, it's just money thrown into a hole and burned.
I want to throw this map up there and just tell you. So here's what happened. I'm sitting on my couch watching Brett Baer, as one does. He's a fantastic newsman. I mean that sincerely. It's not a joke. He's great. And right at the top of the hour, he goes, a Virginia court has struck down the redistricting efforts and is refusing to issue a temporary stay pending appeal. Then they give you some of the context. And I was just like, holy, it's not even been 24 hours. And the deep state attempt to turn Virginia into a vassal of the deep state has failed.
Yeah.
Amazing. I want to show you, y'all need to understand, see, where we are. Let me zoom in. Can I zoom in on this image right here? And I'm going to tell you, see number 6 and number 10? We are like right here. That's where we are right now. That means I go to Virginia for lunch. As Tate mentioned, he lives there. We are probably a couple of minutes, depending on the studio, from Loudoun or Frederick County, Virginia. This whole block right here, number 6, quite literally is where we get lunch relatively often. 10 is Loudoun, and I go there for Korean barbecue at Gogi 92. Shout out. It's like the best Korean barbecue ever. Ian knows it. He's got this look on his face. Like, I love
I don't
it.
know if I've had it yet.
Yes,
I
you
want it right now, though.
We've been there. Oh, it's the best. Plus, the guys dress up like Akatsuki from Naruto, so I will always just prefer to go there over anywhere else for Korean barbecue. Like they're walking around just like anime characters, just randomly one day. I don't know why, but I'm a fan of Naruto, so I liked it. So check it out. Here's what they've done to the districts that we live in, our crew here, and where we go for lunch and hang out. They've turned Winchester, where we go for lunch, and Loudoun into one congressional district, basically, lumping Winchester, which is blue, with Loudoun, which is deep blue, eliminating all of the conservatives, it's a deep conservative area. If you take a look at the, let me pull up the redistricting vote. Let's get the results, VA, because you can actually see, check this out. I'll show you exactly what they did. So this is what I'm talking about right here. Frederick County, it voted no, right? You take a look here at Shenandoah County, you take a look at Warren County, you take a look at Clark County, they all voted no. And the Democrats were like, yeah, let's eliminate that. Let's take away their voices. These people said no to this map, and it was thrust upon them by this tiny little piece right here. Here you go. This is what it is. Alexandria, about 50,000 yes votes. Fairfax County, 140,000 yes votes. That's what basically throws this into yes territory. It's 130. What is it? It's 90,000. And they get that from just Alexandria, just Fairfax, and they eliminate all of the little orange spots in the state, lose their voice. Well, they got crushed. Good riddance.
Well, I mean, you probably saw, I don't know how closely you were tracking this last night, but of course, Fairfax County it was over an hour after the polls had already closed before they even counted one vote in Fairfax County. And you're like, okay, well, why is that?
Because it's the deep state.
Because it's the deep state. Yeah. That is the deep state capital of the United States is Fairfax County right now.
No joke. Literally it is. And I will tell you exactly what's going on right now. Actually, I'll put it this way. I have some theories, and I'm probably wrong about everything. That being said, with the move against the SPLC, this is, in my opinion, one of the NGO. It's a nonprofit. We call them NGOs when they're at the international scale. The government through USAID and these crony legal schemes were funneling government money to various lawyers and NGOs that were being used for political purposes and manipulation, running ad campaigns, propping up like law firms that were fighting for political causes, finding their way through various donation platforms to get Democrats elected. Trump crushed USAID. He basically took a sledgehammer to the deep state. The roaches of the deep state crawled like the scum they are they always lived in Fairfax, to be honest, and they're trying to form a last bastion in Virginia. The remnants. You know what I would say this to all of my liberal friends who can only understand politics through the lens of popular fiction like Harry Potter or Star Wars. I would say the deep state is the Death Eaters, Voldemort's henchmen trying to come back together, or the First Order from the sequel movies you all like, despite them being miserably bad movies. Now that you understand what we're talking about, you know why we don't like these people.
Yeah, well, what's interesting, at least, I mean, look, turnout, this record high turnout, if you compare it to the last gubernatorial election, I mean, Winsome Sears got spanked by Spanberger. So I think going in, I was anticipating a yes vote. I actually ended up being a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. I expected like a 5-point spread because I'd seen the fundraising numbers. And then in addition to that, I guess I do live in Virginia. I won't say which county, but closer to DC. And I was just getting like Obama ads on every YouTube video. Is Obama ads nonstop. Didn't see any Republican ads. So I was thinking like we're going to get spanked. A lot closer. Which is just interesting, honestly. But in addition to that, okay, this court, this judge has struck this down. The Virginia Supreme Court actually tilts conservative. This is according to Ballotpedia, a few other sources. It actually tilts conservative. So, I mean, there is a situation in which this escalates quite quickly. It just depends on how much fight the GOP has. I mean, are they going to clean up their mess here? The national GOP owes it to the Republicans in Virginia to clean up this mess. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, they should have been, helping out a lot more weeks ago. But, I digress on that. But there's actually a really good constitutional argument here. The judge today that struck this down so quickly literally called it egregious. Right? Because when you call, this was passed through a quote unquote special session. When the governor calls a special session, it is done for a specific reason. And what they pass through that is limited to that reason. Right? In this special session, they decided it was supposed to be for a limited budget matter. And that's when they rammed these maps through here. So if we have any semblance of, a fair judicial system left, this will get thrown out in May.
There's a theory that they let them. I don't know if you guys heard this theory that they let the Democrats spend tons of money on this just because they knew it wasn't.
Knowing it would get crushed.
We're not that good at 4D chess, man. I'm just saying.
Well, let me put it this way. I actually am not entirely sure. I was interviewing Seb Gorka last year, and I asked him if the deep state had been crushed, and he says no, absolutely not. They're still there. And he's not wrong. What I see here with the move against the SPLC, they're deep state. I mean, they are now being, according to this indictment, they funded part of. I'm not going to be as hyperbolic as some of these outlets. They were providing resources to one of the organizers who helped secure transport for many people who showed up. This was the SPLC, according to the indictment, helping to foment Unite the Right through organizing so they could then come out and fundraise against it. And many other nonprofits fundraised against it as well. What I will say is, I'm going to make it as personal as possible, is that the SPLC tried accusing me, as well as several others, in 2018 of being Russian assets, of being orchestrated or directed by the Russian government. And it didn't work. I have talked about this before. After my coverage in Sweden, I received several emails from Russia Today trying to license my footage, despite the fact it was all fair use and you didn't need to license it. So I rightly ignored their emails, as I'm not going to take their money. Then I had people hit me up who were friends being like, oh, by the way, Russia Today wants to buy the footage from you. And I said, finally, I snapped and I said, why would they buy footage that's free to use? This makes no sense. F off. Then finally, Merrick Garland came out and he got his wish, and he falsely accused me and many others of taking money from the Russian government. They can't malign me in any other way. They can't call me far right. They can't call me a white supremacist. They had nothing. So the SPLC, strangely, along with eventually the smear they got through Merrick Garland, was trying to call me and many others as coordinated by the Russians. And the reason why this matters, the article that they wrote, which they did have to retract, was pointing out that leftists, like at the time in 2018, I'm like a liberal guy. I was like a pro-Bernie guy before that. It was me, Ronnie Akalik, Ben Norton, Max Blumenthal, all very clearly on the left. And they could not call them fascists and they could not call them white supremacists because they were well-known communists. Like, not all of them, I'm just saying, like, they're all pretty much on the left, easily. Similarly with Jimmy Dore. So they tried maligning us as Russians, and it didn't work. But they eventually did get their stupid play 2 years ago, which is fake. These people must be crushed. They did the same thing to Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel. And I hope, I beg, and I pray that these people are utterly destroyed. You know, because I will just say this. I never did anything to these people. I didn't know these people. Literally at the time in 2018, I'm just some random guy who worked at Vice, and I went to Sweden. And I was like, I'm going to film stuff for a vlog. I had no idea what was going on. I wasn't promoting Trump. In fact, I said, I'm going there to prove Trump wrong. And these people tried to destroy my life. They put out these fake reports claiming that, of all people, Chris Reagan, who does comedy sketches and plays video games, had collaborated with Richard Spencer. They put me in the center of this nexus of the alt-right networking with their alternative influencer network. And I'm sitting here being like, it is the weirdest experience in the world to have academics, NGOs start accusing you of being a white supremacist and a Russian. This is back in 2018. And I'm like, I only had like 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. I'm sitting here being like, what the heck? What is this? Why are these people coming after me? They are evil, deranged lunatics who must be crushed.
I think it's the system is being dismantled. That's the most important, because the individuals will come in and then leave and come in, and it's like hard to track who's doing what, who's calling what shots. But that system of globalization, that it's basically an international banking system that's through the Federal Reserve has tried to take the United States for 100 years, is trying to malign people that are like, no, American property rights, gun rights, free speech, fuck the corporation, pardon my language, but welcome to America. And that's the system that is like, so, but I do like that that they're working on it. I mean,
Yeah.
what did Cash do yesterday with the
Indictments. Yeah.
yeah, it's looking very good.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, first of all, we need a Truth and Reconciliation Committee for Charlottesville. I mean, it's very obvious. People have been saying it for years that it was riddled with feds. Everyone kind of knew that implicitly, and now we have like hard proof that that's the case. They literally put names out. In addition to that, I mean, there's something to be said about the fact of, did the SPLC try to control, again, like voices that were sort of dominating the mainstream, pushing the mainstream in different directions? No, they go after like dissident, they infiltrate sort of the dissident sphere because, again, they don't. That's where they can play around. That's their playground, that sort of thing. That's just kind of proof to me. It's evident to me that really the mainstream the people that are careful, the people that keep their noses clean, is actually where all like the decision-making process. I think Charlie Kirk sort of exemplifies this perfectly. Is why did they target Charlie Kirk? You know, people made this point after he was shot. They were like, oh, well, you know, why would they shoot him? Why would they kill him? He's not even like far right. It's like, that's the point, because he is the guy that stepped into the mainstream and then pushed it in the correct direction. That's why they target effective people. And the SPLC is just evidence. It's like dissident nobodies, and it's just entrapment. They're entrapping vulnerable people. Everyone's known this for years, so it's great to finally see some movement on it.
I mean, they were paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to these people. It's not like they were cutting them a $500 check and telling them to go out and start a riot. I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars. This isn't chump change that they're playing with.
Yeah.
You guys ready to have your minds blown?
Frequently.
You ready to have your minds blown? Welcome to Timcast IRL, my friends. First, Daily Wire. Lefty anti-hate group paid white supremacists to plan infamous Charlottesville rally indictment. Y'all heard the news yesterday, right? That the SPLC was indicted because they were providing resources to a bunch of white supremacists, including an individual who was an organizer of Unite the Right. According to the indictment, was providing the transportation for these people, some of them, to arrive. How about this one? Georgetown Law. Witness to tragedy, a victim of fake news conspiracy sues Alex Jones as well as others. And what did this man sue Alex Jones for? Gilmore is suing Alex Jones, InfoWars, former Congressman Alan West, and others for defamation and intentional infliction of emotional distress, for branding him a murderous deep state shill and mobilizing an army of followers to pursue a campaign of harassment and threats against him that continues to this day. From Sandy Hook to Pizzagate to Charlottesville, Las Vegas and now Parkland, the defendants thrive by inciting devastating real-world consequences with the propaganda and lies they publish, said Gilmore. Today, I'm asking a court to hold them responsible for the personal and professional damage their lies have caused me, and more importantly, to deter them from repeating this dangerous pattern of defamation and intimidation. Gilmore, a Charlottesville area resident, on leave from his career as a Foreign Service officer, had his phone camera running when a neo-Nazi, James Alex Field Jr., barreled his Dodge Challenger into a crowd of peaceful counter-protesters. After hearing some media characterize the attack as an accident or act of self-defense, and fearing that other attacks might follow, Gilmore posted the video. They say Gilmore was contacted by media outlets to discuss his personal experience soon became the target of elaborate online conspiracies that place him at the center of a deep state plot to stage the attack and destabilize the Trump administration. Now, I don't know who this guy is. I don't know what Alex or anybody else said about him. The interesting thing, however, as many people are pointing out, Alex Jones made the claim at the time that Charlottesville was staged by the SPLC, that these people are actors and Democrat shills coming out to make these fake events. Everybody right now is praising Alex Jones. Can you put Ian on camera real quick? And you can see, we can actually see it. But just behind Ian is an Alex Jones was right jar. The issue now is, according to the news, Alex Jones and others settled with this person. I will say this first and foremost. I don't know who this guy is. And if he was falsely maligned and is not involved in whatever the SPLC was doing, then yes, you defamed some random guy who was just filming. Don't do that. However, it is interesting that the lawsuit is predicated upon the theory that the SPLC was organizing and fomenting this conflict, when in fact now an indictment alleges just that.
I want to bring this to frame because this did get mentioned before. I think I might shift the frame around so it's in the shot behind us.
Yeah.
We've had this for a while.
Yeah.
And it's just real quick. It's so obvious what's going on here. Again, the collaboration between the SPLC and the Democrat Party. Because think, when Joe Biden ran for president, when he announced his campaign for president, what was it predicated on? Why did he say he decided to run for president? He cited Charlottesville. He said, that's the reason I ran. When I saw that happen, I knew I had to run. And then in his announcement video, it was literally all footage from Charlottesville. This is all, like, the SPLC aren't idiots. They're not just throwing money around in dissident circles, like just trying to defame random people. No, this is all calculated. There's collaboration between them and the DNC, and it's abundantly clear. The entire Biden presidency was predicated on Charlottesville.
It'd be the crazy. We don't know who do we know who the informant was for Unite the Right? It was just
I don't think they've released
code name F-37. It'd be really wild if it turns out to be this guy.
I mean, but it brings up a broader fact as well, is like these people that go out and say Alex Jones makes an accusation and then all of a sudden he's being sued for it. You have to ask yourself, it's like a lot of these attorneys, it's like $2,000 an hour, right, to pay attorneys, civil litigators to represent you when you're suing somebody unless they're doing it on contingency, which actually is less common than people think. Like, who is funding that? And so there's a huge rabbit hole that hopefully the FBI is going to go down. I'm hoping that we've just basically hit the tip of the iceberg at this point, and they can dig further down to figure out, okay, who is enabling them to do this via really expensive, high-powered lawyers.
Are you saying we're supposed to audit the Federal Reserve?
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
I think that when you go down the rabbit hole, you start to first you go through the Federal Reserve, and it's like, oh, this part of the realm, and then you get to the Bank for International Settlements, and you're like, oh God, the money's coming from Switzerland? I didn't know, or maybe that's my guess. But I mean, you're asking more granular, like who's that money going to? That's then going to the NGOs, probably. Like, I'm sure it's laundered like crazy. Who knows? Yeah. What do they have? The Panama Papers, all those banks in Panama, and like, I don't know, man.
Because it's all a redistribution racket. I mean, look at what the Biden administration pulled off. You talk about PPP, you talk about all these different, apparatuses that were set up to extract money effectively from patriots and redistribute it among a lot of newcomers, a lot of people that are sort of in the patronage network for the Democrat Party. They set the table with Charlottesville. That set the table. It stoked racial grievance among Americans, and it made it quite clear for everyday people that, oh my gosh, this is like there's an insurgency of white nationalists in this country. I need to head to the ballot box and vote for Joe Biden. And then what did Joe Biden do? Just put money right back into the patronage network. He got Ketanji Brown Jackson on the Supreme Court. Like all these different things that we now have to deal with. Everyone talks about, Trump was able to overturn all of his executive orders. That's true, but there's a lot of systematic damage that Biden did. It was all calculated. It was all set up. Again, the SPLC aren't idiots. You can go look at all these names. These are like high-powered, influential people. These aren't just like random activists like we're used to seeing with like BLM. These are people that like know what they're doing. Again, they're being very cautious, being very prudent, being careful how to get the money moved. Again, from point A to point B. That's how you do it. You set the table for a Biden presidency.
But so this we're talking about those the deep state lawyer type thing as well. Allegedly, okay, let's be clear. I'll say that to the camera right now. That's the operating word for everything I'm about to say. Allegedly. I don't know if you just saw today the Blaze Media guy, I guess former Blaze Media guy, what was his name? Steve Baker with the Blaze,
yeah.
The one that came out with this big elaborate story on who the actual Capitol or attempted Capitol bomber at the RNC and the DNC was, and it was this former Capitol police officer that now works for the CIA or whatever. There's this firm, Claire Locke, right, that has now decided that they're going to jump in and represent her in a defamation suit against Steve Baker and the Blaze. And then you go back and look to see who else they have represented. Dominion Voting Systems, the President and First Lady of France, for, the Bridget Macron is actually a dude case. Bill Gates. That's a big one. And you're like, okay, so again, who is paying for that? I'm not going to, for a second, believe that a police officer is able to pay that $2,000 an hour rate.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I want to hit on the point again, and that's so true. And I want to hit on this point again. I made it earlier, but it's like people need to remember this and like look out for this in the future. Is again, there's a reason why the SPLC wasn't paying guys like, I don't know, Matt Walsh or paying guys like Charlie Kirk, because those guys can advance right-wing ideas successfully, and they single-handedly change the zeitgeist. They single-handedly move the Overton window, move the mainstream to where they want it to be. Again, they paid off these kind of dissident guys because, again, they're not threatened by them. You wouldn't give money to someone you're threatened by. You would give money to people that you're not threatened by. And like seriously, like base guy number 454 who like spurgs on Twitter all day, that's not threatening to the mainstream in any way. We just saw evidence of that. They're paying them directly because, again, it foments an environment that is actually bad for the right wing to actually succeed, for it to actually thrive. That's why if you go to the SPLC, you'll see the guys that are actually movers and shakers are listed on the website as target number one, and the SPLC is moving money to sort of apparatchiks that actually harm those guys, that target those guys' family, that take pot shots at them if you follow the money in a lot of situations. So it's very obvious what's going on here. And again, it's really great, let's see a super base guy on Twitter, drop a truth nuke or whatever, but it's like these guys aren't actually threatening to the mainstream order. They're not threatening the liberal regime as it stands. It sounds kitschy and corny to say, but guys like Charlie Kirk were effective at doing so. That's why they were put in the crosshairs of the SPLC, and that's why they weren't getting paid off by them.
Yeah, and there's actually much bigger ROI than just power that SPLC got by allegedly going in and helping to foment the Charlottesville rally, their fundraising after Charlottesville went up tens of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So power, the narrative, and money.
Yeah.
I mean, great ROI for them. It all makes sense.
And a president out of it.
And a president, yeah.
So, I mean, it's
a puppet president at that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was the best part, is it was a puppet president. Guess who was staffing a lot of the Biden administration? We all know now that the Biden administration was actually sort of being run and operated by a lot of his staff. A lot of those staffers came out of activist networks. We know this. You can go to their LinkedIn's and look at their job history. Like, I'm not making this up. Like, again, they came in like the activism world, again, the NGO, the nonprofit world, and then jumped into the White House and the PPO office during the Biden administration was literally rubber stamping activists that come into the administration we're talking like labor bureau, we're talking USDA, like everywhere you looked in the Biden administration, if you go through their LinkedIn's again, and I'm not saying this like, harm these, you shouldn't do anything to these people. I'm just saying, look at their career history. They came out of these activist networks. That's all this was. It was one giant patronage network for the left. And honestly, the reason I am not super angry to some degree is because we should be doing that. We should be creating patronage networks for our guys. And the Trump administration is doing a great job of that. But like, let's kick this into overdrive. If we're going to clear out the deep state, let's fill it with patriots who have the best interests for this country in mind.
Let's pull up this. We got it from McCormick.house.gov. Hey, there's a congressman who's trying to make D.C. a square again. And I'm actually in favor of it because Arlington should have never been separated from D.C. to begin with. However, I will also stress this will give the deep state the federal government. So the big counter to what happened in Virginia, where they basically turned one small jurisdiction into 5 congressional districts, eliminating 4 Republican seats, many people have said, okay, first, a court struck it down. But if they want to play hardball, then why don't we turn D.C. into a square and drag Arlington back into D.C., eliminating that part of Virginia, However, I will stress this. As much as we have Congressman McCormick here proposing it, as well as many others, that would mean that all of those Fairfax County deep state individuals would now be residents of Washington, D.C. They'd live in a federal jurisdiction. I don't know that we want to allow them to fight for representation to the federal government directly, but I'd still argue functionally it's the right thing to do outside of any culture war issue.
I think people shouldn't put too much stake in this. And I mean, I'd love to see this. I mean, I understand the counter arguments, but like, I think this would actually solve a lot of our problems with the current situation. Again, I wouldn't put too much stake in this because there's 2 things that you could do to make DC square again. Is one, again, through congressional approval, because if you want to move state borders, you have to get congressional approval. Not going to happen, especially if we get spanked in the midterms. Okay, well, what's the other option? Trump issues an executive order, Virginia rebuffs, and then we use the DOJ to go after Virginia. That's going to go to the Supreme Court. Again, the Supreme Court's not going to uphold a DC square again. So I'm just like, I think it's fun to, but the reality, we should be more angry at the GOP. And the fact that Trump even has to like even take a look at cleaning up their mess is what really the scandal is. Because I don't think there's really any chance that this could happen.
So
I agree.
Initially, DC was, when they created the federal district, it was 100 square miles.
Yeah.
It's now down to like 60-something square miles. And that's because the Congress, and there is an argument to be made that when Congress did this back in the 1800s, that it doesn't pass the constitutional muster for giving up part of the federal district, but it has never been challenged in court.
Check that out.
So, yeah, that's exactly how it
Wow.
And that's the way it should be right now. It's still on the Maryland side, it's still the same, but on the Virginia side, they ceded it over to.
Yeah, how does that make sense?
So if that would be the city of DC or the district would be. So then they could, because in DC you're allowed to have federal
And notice
troops.
how it's lined with Washington monuments.
It's true.
Yeah, it probably
That would be
wouldn't
based.
happen.
Yeah.
You'd see
Obelisks just all around
Still
you.
there. If you can go, and they're just like, you can find these monuments. They're still
Oh, they're really still there?
Yeah, there's look it up. There's like little stone pillars. That
George Washington.
Really?
Yeah, they're
set
still
those
there.
up.
Interesting.
Now, the thing is, the Supreme Court's going to give us a heat check on
They're
it.
usually in areas, though, where you really don't want to go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're in the hood. They're always
Out
in
in
the hood.
Anacostia.
What are they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
wow.
still there. Now, the Supreme Court's going to give us a heat check on this.
I was saying like gigantic obelisks.
Oh, yeah, that'd be base. We'll get a heat check for the Supreme Court on birthright citizenship because that also pertains to slavery-related issues. So again, if they rule in favor of that, let's push with this because the whole reason the Alexandria and Arlington were ceded back to Virginia was because Polk was trying to basically pass abolition.
I don't like that guy.
And yeah,
He gave
in
back
DC.
Mexico.
Yeah, and he was trying to ban slavery in D.C., so that was kind of the concession he had to make, was to give basically Alexandria and Arlington back to D.C. So the Supreme Court's going to give us a heat check with birthright citizenship. If they're saying, no, like some stuff pertains to the slavery era and then not, we're actually going to like get a little closer to determining if this could even be viable to make D.C. square again. But I just don't think there's a chance in Hades.
No, I don't think so. It would mean that you made Arlington like federal jurisdiction, which would mean you'd see National Guard on the street corners in Arlington. I don't think the citizens of that city want to go back to that.
Well, it's not up to them. It's up to how hard Virginia would fight it, and they would fight it pretty hard as long as Spanberger's in power. You know, you could have done that. You could have done this when Youngkin was in charge. It actually was a little bit more viable. But no, the DOJ is going to have to go after the state of Virginia. You're losing that in the Supreme Court. There's not a chance. I don't know. Maybe there's some lawyers that in the crowd that have like a constitutional argument I didn't think about, but pretty much everyone I've talked to in the legal realm has said, yeah, it's pretty open and shut case. No one, to your point, Nick, no one's even tried to challenge it in court because it just hasn't been.
So for those that don't know, under Polk, we won this massive war against Mexico and basically took everything over. Then he negotiated with them to take everything up to California and then have the Rio Grande be the barrier. But we could have actually taken large chunks of Mexico. But depending on who you ask, they'll give you different answers. I watched a documentary about it where the American people largely were ambivalent and were like, and then he decided we don't want it. So we're going to draw the Rio Grande and that's it. And the war is over. And then we could have had more.
Yeah, and that would have been an interesting situation because that would have given the Confederacy quite a bit more resources in their war. Who knows what timeline we would be in right now?
Well,
They probably to say the relationship between the Southerners and the Mexicans would have been frosty would be an understatement.
You couldn't have blockaded the Confederacy if they had more Mexican territory.
Yeah.
Texas only joined the Confederacy due to proximity. At least that's one of the historical arguments. And then the North staged a blockade on southern ports, which they could have shifted either in the Gulf or to the Pacific.
Yeah. I mean, it would have just been a mess because you would have incorporated millions of Mexicans into the country. At the time, I mean, you know, some people think the country's always been 20% Mexican. No, that's actually a really recent thing. The amount of people who the border crossed was actually very minimal. Most Mexican Americans now can trace their lineage to the last few decades of more recent arrivals. In addition to that, Polk, I think he wrote this said this, is that occupying Mexico City would have been a nightmare. I mean, the amount of guerrilla resistance you would have seen in Mexico City would have just been... have you seen Mexico City now? It's already an exceptionally violent place. Could you imagine when they're angry?
I don't know. Actually, Mexico City is pretty nice. When you say Mexico City is violent, it's true in the sense that Chicago is also a very violent place.
Yeah, but Mexico City, the cops are super corrupt too. That's the biggest problem I've heard from Westerners that live there. Is the cops shake you down all the time. They're more scared of the cops than they are the locals.
I can only speak for personal experience, so you're probably right. But I would say my experience in Mexico City has been they treat wealthy Americans like royalty. And I don't mean wealthy like in my sense. I mean like a middle-class American is wealthy when you go to Mexico City. So you go to the finest restaurants. And the attitude that I've found and the people that I've worked with have found is cartels and police will flay a man alive for attacking a tourist. Because the story goes, there was this, somewhere in the Yucatan, there was like a resort town with a casino. And two dudes... I think they kidnapped, raped, and murdered some young women. And then all the tourists stopped. State Department issued a warning saying, don't go here, it's dangerous. So the cartel caught these guys, and I believe they flayed them in public. Because after these two dumb guys murdered these women, the cartel lost $100 million a year in all the tourism money. So they were like, we're going to make an example of anybody who would hurt a wealthy American coming here. And so if those aren't familiar with flaying, I assume many of you are, they peeled their skin off in front of the public.
Yeah.
Well, didn't you see, what was it, Puerto Vallarta? Like, not even that long ago, where it was like this, people were saying, it's going to be, the cartels are about to, bomb the entire city of Puerto Vallarta at this point because one of their leaders ended up being killed in a raid or something. Now, like, that would be... a very bad idea for them, and it's like that's not in their interest, right? So it's
right.
I know a lot of people were pushing that, but that was
we'll really see because the World Cup coming up this summer. They're playing 7 or 8 games in Mexico, in Guadalajara, I think Monterrey, and Mexico City. I mean, the police there are going to have to be on lockdown because if any of these cartels are wanting to send a message, this would be the time to do it. The interesting thing about Mexico is basically because of its proximity to us, we, I think correctly so, view it as quite a rough place. But on the global scale, Mexico is actually quite developed when you compare it to the rest of
Mexico City is based. And it's just funny when you watch a movie and like Mexico is always sepia toned.
Yeah.
Like clearly you've never been to Mexico City where it's got bright neon lights downtown.
And it's also colder than a lot of American cities.
Exactly. It's elevated and cold. And in the summer, when it's like 90 degrees in Chicago, it's like 70 in Mexico City because it's elevated. And they have Buffalo Wild Wings. So spare me, Mexico City is based and fun.
Is it the old Aztec capital?
Yeah.
Teotihuacan? Is that
it is.
But we don't say that anymore. That name is
Mexico.
Mexico City, or Ciudad de Mexico.
Ciudad, yeah.
The Roma neighborhood there is lovely. I mean, like, there's some really nice places, but the thing is, the rent there is getting driven really high because a lot of Americans that work remote are moving down to Mexico City. And there was this video that went viral a few years ago. There's native sentiment, like, getting stoked in Mexico City because local Mexican people are like, what are all these foreigners doing here? Get them out of here! I'm sick of these foreigners. I'm like, all right, kind of based, but no, at the same, I don't know. I'm split on.
I agree with them.
I'm split, yeah.
Like Americans are going down there and asking for tacos, and when they give them soft shell tortillas, because they don't have hard shell tortillas, they're like, I want Taco Bell. And then they're just like, a what?
See, that'd be me. That would be me.
You're like, I would like a hard shell taco with cheddar cheese. They would go, we have neither of those things.
I just need corn. Not
Doritos.
flour.
They have that.
Give me corn.
They have that.
Doritos Locos taco, and they don't have
And
any.
tortillas are thicker down there. The other thing people need to understand is that
People are
Mexican
too.
food, we call it Mexican food, it's Tex-Mex.
Yeah. And
You go to Mexican food, you order Mexican food, you're going to get chicken and rice.
yeah.
And then you're like, I want a burrito. They're going to be like, you want a little donkey?
Right. Yeah. and the people there are thicker too. They have a higher obesity rate in the United States. A lot of people don't know that. And in addition to that, another funny thing about Mexico is you remember that craze for a while where people are like, you got to buy Mexican Coke. You know, Mexican Coke.
Oh, yeah.
It's got sugar in it.
Yeah, it's the only other country on planet Earth that also used high fructose corn syrup as a sweetener in the Coke. So
But
people were importing a bunch of it. I mean, some of it was cane sugar, but a lot of people were importing cans, like in California, and they'd get it, and they're like, oh.
Well, because it's the Coke in a bottle.
Right.
That's specifically manufactured with cane sugar. If you go to Mexico City and grab a bottle of Coke, it's high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah.
There will be a plastic bottle in Spanish. You'll grab it. El high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah, but you know where you can get it with cane sugar? Canada. So we should have been importing Canadian Coca-Cola the whole time. You know?
I don't know. I don't trust Canadians.
I think people got confused ordering Mexican Coke. You know, in Los Angeles, some benders.
Snowback offensive. Is that racist?
I don't think so.
Snow Mexicans, they really get mad at me when I call them.
Yeah, people call them like frost monkeys. I love Canadians.
It's allowed because they're white.
And I love Canadians. Like, I'm one of the few people in the conservative commentariat that like backs up Canadians. But that is really funny.
I will give them poutine. And I don't mean generic poutine. I mean like legit poutine restaurants where they got all the fixins and there's different flavors. Like the way I would describe it, having I hung out in Montreal quite a bit and sometimes Toronto. Poutine is like saying nachos. Right. You know, so it's like if you tell someone nachos, they're imagining tortilla chips with cheese on them. But you can get like barbacoa nachos. You can get jalapeno and sour cream or salsa or pulled pork. That's what poutine is like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Poutine's the vessel.
And I kind of have to have a go off moment too. This is my gripe with people that just like dunk on Canada all day. It's because it's safe. It's not threatening to like liberals at all to like make fun of Canadians or French people or British people because they're also white people. That's fair game. But people will like chest beat all day about Canada or Britain, and then when India comes up, all of a sudden they have nothing to say whatsoever. And it's like if you ask people in Middle America which country is like which nationality is like actively destroying their standard of living, they'll point to India. But yeah, people will just like go off all day about Canadians, and then like as soon as like a third world country comes up, nothing to say.
Have you seen the population, the demographic makeup of Canada recently?
It is getting, to the point where the location feature on Twitter is kind of useless because I'm thinking debating a Canadian, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, it's wild, and that's why I think that we should be after we get this southern border wall done, maybe we try a northern border wall because I mean, don't let anybody in at this point. It's wild. The how far down the country has gone in such a short amount of time. Actual Canadians are going to be a minority sooner than later.
Yeah.
There is no Canadian. Remember, that's the ethos. That is the mentality of the Canadians. They just gave back that land in British Columbia. Remember that? There's a bunch of white Canadians who lived in this land. And Native Americans sued, saying that it's their ancestral springtime fishing land, and a court ruled correct. The land belongs to them, and now the people who live there actually live in a Native American reservation.
That's just what happens when you have like undisturbed Anglo neuroticism. That's what you get a country like Canada. Where America, like we had some other groups come in to like keep all the Anglos from going, too like introspective. But when you leave them all alone up there and it's that cold, they start like really overthinking things. And the next thing you know, they're like, we should bring 10 million Indians in. Like, let's just see what happens.
Yeah. What's really disturbing is the amount of Western countries that have been psyoped into hating themselves.
Yeah, literally.
Like you go over and you're seeing videos increasingly come out of places like the UK. I don't know if you saw this video the other day with the wall. Where this third worlder he didn't want to climb over the wall, so he decided to start destroying the wall.
I don't think he wanted to climb over it. I think he was just breaking it.
That was like a Fortnite moment, Just harvesting.
Why won't my
resources.
pickaxe work?
Yeah.
Why is it taking so
Did you
long?
see a Restore Britain's ad where their entire ad was just the wall
rebuilt? Yeah. It's like brilliant.
Awesome.
But I mean, like, how long until people are finally like, okay, you know what? Maybe this was a bad idea.
Well, there's still
I think
liberals
of it
in
as-
South Africa.
Listen.
That's the thing.
The issue is this. We here all right now agree that we like being on Timcast IRL. If for some reason we made the mistake of inviting in 7 people who are liberals and hate this show, we may then recognize it was a mistake to invite them in as they smash the cameras. Then when we all say, let us vote to remove these people, they look at us and say, and who and you and what army? Yeah. And we're going to be like, well, it's our house. Not anymore. It's not. There's more of us than you.
Yeah.
And that's
So
why
good luck
Nigel
voting him out.
That's why Nigel Farage flipped. That's why all of a sudden he's like, you know what, we're gonna embrace all the Muslims and such. It's
So
like,
what are your MPs from Bangladesh? Big deal.
Yeah.
You're like, what? What are we doing here?
I mean, is British even really a word?
Yeah, literally. I know. It's just like, it's totally ridiculous. And then to your point, when there's no limiting principle on liberalism, like look at South Africa. There's still white liberals in South Africa, as bad as things have gotten. They literally are just psyop, to your point. They're literally, they have the cognitive dissonance among these types of people. This is why I make the case like democracy inherently is flawed, because again, people just don't have a sense of self-preservation. They don't understand, like, again, how to maintain things that were built for them, how to leave the place better than they found it. They just don't have the propensity. I'd like to say it stems from something more esoteric, like they have deep self-hatred and they're taking that on their people. I think these people are just like actual genuine believers that the system will work. I think it might be as simple as that. I mean,
is it not because they're trying to repent because they're like, oh, you're such a hard, like Germany, for example, right? These Germans, even the young Germans, are taught that, okay, you know what, you still need to make up for what your grandfather did in World War II.
Yeah.
And so you need to bring in all these third worlders and make up for it.
Probably because the liberal economic order did win after World War II and just stole the world's wealth, basically set up banks and everything. So I guess maybe there is that, like, okay, we do need to give back some of it, but the way they do it, like the problem with liberalism is you're having your friends over for a party. I meet you for the first night, maybe. You come with Tim to the party, and he's like, hey, my buddy Nick's here. And I'm like, oh, hey, we meet. And you're like, come on in, man. Then liberalism's like, okay, now the next guy comes to the party, and he's like, got 7 dudes behind him, and they're looking at the ground. You don't even know if they're not speaking. And then you're like, come on in, I guess, and you don't know who they are. That's the problem with liberalism on fucking steroids. So that's what's happened, is that people are like, well, if he's with you, I mean, I can't turn him away. And that's the thing. Like at some point,
Yeah,
and the cops come in, they're like, where are those dudes?
Literally, someone will be walking through New York City, and then they'll see, like an Indian restaurant, and they're like, wow, I love Indian food. I'm so glad these people are all here. And then if they see like a crime perpetrated by an Indian person, I'm just using any third world country in this example, they will say, well, that's because of failed Republican policies. Like the only reason they're behaving like that is because my system hasn't quite been flushed out. So they will accept like the one, I guess, upside, which is, wow, great, you have like more food options. And then everything that's bad that comes out of that is because, again, these chuds are holding things up. They're holding up progress. If we could finally get them out of the way, then we'll have our Obama, like wholesome Chungus, post-racial democracy. And then it's just not the case. I mean, it's not the case.
So I don't know if you saw today, Chris Murphy, who went out on the floor, the same guy that said that the story about it ended up not being real. The story about Iran running the U.S. Navy.
Oh,
blockade.
right, the ghost ships.
Yeah, the ghost
Not
ships.
real.
And so he was on the House floor or Senate floor today, saying, complaining that the Trump administration wants to send back 1,000 Afghan quote unquote refugees, and not send back, actually send them to the Congo. I mean, I guess you can go home or you can go to the Congo. Those are your 2 options. And I can't get over this fact. It's like if I give you a bowl of jelly beans, 50 of them, and one of those jelly beans is laced with cyanide, are you going to eat any of the jelly beans out of the jar? No, of course not. And so he's trying to make the argument that even though, yes, there was one Afghan refugee that we brought in without any sort of vetting, and he may or may not have killed a National Guard soldier in Washington, D.C., but, the rest of them need to stay anyway.
I'm not a fan of that argument, the poisoned M&Ms argument, because it can be applied in any circumstance of nuance. So you could say, look, your kids might play outside. When you were little, you played outside, right? Sure. I would go out and ride my bike until the street lights turned on, and then you come back home. Now, there was a story where a kid was walking to a Dollar General 1 mile, and his parents got arrested for it. And they said, your kid is unattended. The kid was like 10 years old. And people are freaking out, being like, this is insane. Kids need to be able to go out. Yeah, but I'll tell you this. Not every stranger kid's going to meet is going to be a pedophile or criminal. But some of them are. Now imagine you had a bowl of M&Ms, 100 of them, and only one was poison. Go ahead, take a handful. Are you going to let your kid go play outside ever again? Nope. See, that's why I reject that argument.
But I would say that is a totally different argument than what I'm making, though. These people do not serve any sort of benefit
that's
to our country.
That's a different argument. What I'm saying is...
we don't need to bring them here at all.
That's fine. I'm
here.
saying using the bowl of M&Ms analogy it's used by feminists. It's used by, woke for every single circumstance ever. Yeah. They say the same thing.
If I invited 15 people over and one of them broke stuff and I kicked everybody out, that would be crazy.
I'd probably do that, too. People are coming over. There's a
I agree with Nick on that one.
Never have people over.
I'd be like, maybe I shouldn't have get-togethers because people disrespect my stuff.
I might think that, but I wouldn't blame the other 14 people because that one guy.
Yeah, but I'm bringing 15 guys over. One of the guys is Smash 'em Up Steve. You'd be like, I don't know which one's Smash 'em Up Steve.
Which one of you did this?
Don't come over. Party's canceled. Party's canceled.
More importantly, the better way to describe it is, if you invited 15 people over for a get-together and one of them smashed your stuff, you'd be upset and say, maybe I shouldn't have get-togethers. It's actually much easier than doing that. As you pointed out with Smash 'em Up Steve, don't invite over a group of people called the Wrecking Bros, famous for going and smashing up people's houses during parties.
Yeah. So Steve gets deported.
So be a little bit discriminatory in your invitations for your get-togethers.
I'd kick out, Smash 'em Up Steve would have to go. But the other 14 guys, I'd be like, well, I don't know. I'd be scared. So let me put it like this. I got to get all of them out.
It's a really easy situation. Don't take a handful of M&Ms if one's poisoned. Run them through your poison detector before eating it.
But we didn't do that.
But we did not do that.
So they gotta go.
So when I invite 15 people over, I ask them, are you a part of the Quiet and Peaceful Brothers or the Wrecking Brothers? We're Wrecking Bros. You can leave.
Yeah, the vetting was and it's still this way. Like, for example, when you apply to an ESTA to come to the United States, one of the questions on there is, do you plan to commit terrorism? We got him. It's like, dang it. Do you plan on committing any, mass genocide? You're like...
It reminds me of that.
You got me.
You know that old trope where it's like, if a cop's trying to buy drugs, they have to tell you if they're a cop, otherwise it's entrapment. Yeah. It's just literally not true, and it's never been true. There's that movie, I can't remember which one it was, but the actor, I think his name is was it DJ Qualls or whatever? He's buying drugs, and the guy's like, are you a cop? And he's like, no, I'm not a cop. Well, you got to tell me if you are. And he's like, or he was like, right, I'm not a cop. And he was, okay, here's the drugs. He's like, freeze, don't move, I'm a cop. And he's like, what? And he's like, bro, it's not a movie.
Yeah.
Well, it was a movie, but
But I mean, so I know people have been probably, this was years ago now, the Afghan withdrawal, where they brought over all these people on C-17s, just plane loads full. They were actually overloaded with people coming over from Afghanistan.
Don't you remember those planes were inflatable? You don't remember that?
Well, and so we know that a lot of these people were not vetted. But that's already been proven. DHS has come out and admitted that at this point, that these people were not proper. There was no way to properly vet them. That was a lie from the start. But when you look at the millions and millions of people that came across the southern border, what was the first thing they did when they crossed over the border? They ditched their IDs so that you wouldn't know what their actual names were.
Check it out.
So there are millions of them that are here that we don't even know the names of. They just make up names.
They were claiming that in the videos of Afghanistan, these were big inflatable fake planes to make it look like something was going on when it wasn't.
It's like the fall of Saigon.
Doesn't the bottom one look inflatable?
Like the Afghanistan, they're like, okay, we're supplying our base. We got to make sure we have our inflatable cargo jets ready to go. Just in case we got to withdraw and they try to jump on the plane. Blow them up, boy.
Did they fake the Afghan withdrawal? Is this like the moon landing?
That's that.
The whole country
we're
was
still there.
Why would you want to fake this? This was horrible.
We covered this on the show.
I wasn't here when we talked about.
Yes, you were. You were on
airplanes. This is the first I've heard that.
You were on the show as we talked about this, bro, in 2021.
That's possible.
I'm pretty sure you were like full time in the co-host chair when we were covering this.
Possible, but
I'm
I
pretty
just
sure.
Don't remember it. I don't
And,
remember.
and
There's a lot of things you probably don't
planes
remember.
planes are pressurized, so and they're all inflatable in theory.
That's correct. Let's jump to the story, ladies and gentlemen. We got major news here. So you know the story about the now, what is it, 13 scientists who have disappeared?
Wow,
Bro, something.
Another one that came out today or something?
Yeah. I think there's another one. It's just there's so many I've lost count of like which one's new, which one's not. So I'm gonna tack onto this. I wonder if these people aren't actually dead. I wonder if they were recruited. The story with this woman is that she was found dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. However, according to conspiracy theorists, because I don't know if this is true, she was quickly cremated, and the father just stopped talking about it, which sounds pretty crazy and sounds like, okay. She had texted a friend, check the story out, saying, let me read you the quote. She said, if you see any report that I killed myself, I most definitely did not. If you see any report that I overdosed, I most definitely did not. If you see any report that I killed anyone else, I most definitely did not. She was texting a friend this 1 month before she allegedly killed herself. Then, according to, I say this according to conspiracy theorists because from the news, this is what we have. Then from threads and, independent researchers, they said she was quickly cremated by her father and he just dropped the subject. He doesn't talk about it. He says there's nothing to see here. And maybe that's the case. I don't want to drag a dad over his dead daughter or anything like that. However, if you were going to recruit someone into black operations, they would die and then be cremated and their body's gone. Let's take a look at this. Colin Rugg tweets, a NASA nuclear scientist was found deceased in his Tesla after colliding with a guardrail, leaving his body so burned that he was completely unrecognizable, according to Fox News. 29-year-old Joshua LeBlanc, who worked on nuclear propulsion projects, died in a fiery crash over the summer. His family at the time said they feared he had been abducted when he left his phone and wallet at home. Every one of these stories has involved an individual who, for no reason, left their phone and wallet before disappearing.
Dude, this is
Who does
epic.
that?
This is like an epic story. This is like a movie, and the movies they come from real life, where the government will come and say, "We need your services." We're not asking, and they'll do whatever within the bounds of potential to make it real.
The fact that their bodies are like cremated instantly or unrecognizable, gone, that these people disappeared and their bodies are unknown, and all of them, my understanding is all of them, left their phones and wallets before disappearing. Which, bro,
One guy was
you walk outside without your phone or your wallet and you're going, oh crap, what did I do?
Yeah, and that makes them untrackable.
What I think,
they don't have their
so one of the conspiracy theories, I tweeted about this. It's so funny because people are nuts. But one of the conspiracy theories is that this is actually people from the future. Not kidding. People actually think this. They think that the reason we don't see time travelers. So here's the theory. If time travel is possible, we would see time travelers because they'd be traveling all throughout time. Maybe we don't invent time travel for 1,000 years, but 1,000 years from now, they'll travel back to now. So the conspiracy theory is, and there's so many of these, but I love them. Future people came back in time and are fomenting their own future. So with advanced technology, we don't detect them. The average person does not see them because they know with time travel where to travel to that no one will find them. They can literally look in the time record and be like, if we go to this abandoned warehouse, no one will know.
Yeah.
Then with advanced technology, they take over the government. Then Dan Bongino gets in there and he's all bright-eyed and his eyebrows are blinking and he's got a big smile on his face as he walks in the DOJ and says, it's time to expose Epstein. And then, boom, a guy from the future appears and he hovers over to Bongino and says, no. And then Dan's like, I'm kidding, by the way.
But didn't he say at one point when he was on Fox he was sitting inside of the Hoover building saying that he has seen things that has changed him forever, things like that. I mean, I think that was one of the arguments that were made, like something paranormal or...
I'm hoping that it's Greater Earth because I love that idea. The idea that the 7 continents are surrounded by an ice wall on the planet and Earth is actually 3 times bigger.
It might be... Like, I think time is a racket. I think it's a psyop. It's one way humans use to coordinate movement, but these entities are always here, they see the entire battlefield, the entire thread. So, like, they might be taking orders from another species that is throughout time.
How crazy would it be if, like, extratemporal entities came to humans and they were like, we are going to destroy all of mankind. And then Epstein and Hillary Clinton were like, stop! You can't destroy humanity. And they were like, then cut a deal with us. You must deliver us children to eat.
Epstein was like-
and Epstein cries, and he's like, no, I'll never do it. And they're like, then all of Earth will be destroyed. And he's like, stop, fine, I'll bring you children.
He was like, no, I'll blackmail every one of them. Let's get them.
He blackmails all the extratemporal beings.
Yeah. And now they're like, we can't release the file. You know.
Hillary Clinton, she's like, no. And then she's like, Jeffrey, you'll be hated forever. And he's like, but I'll do it to save humanity.
I do what I must.
But did you see today there was another paranormal researcher or UFO researcher that specifically tweeted in 2022, December 11th, 2022, I plan on living, not suicidal at all, just concerned about David Wilcock.
Wow.
I plan on living, not suicidal at all, just concerned about what happens when you prove God is real. And today, police say he killed himself.
This was a sad one.
Wow.
I think they say he was standing outside his house with a weapon, and when the police approached him, he used the weapon on himself. That's
Yeah, but was he going, I can't stop?
I know. He's like, I'm being controlled. I'm doing this to myself.
Extratemporal beings could move you, you know.
Bro, David, I was sad about him on the drive over because he was kind of a well-known, under-the-radar fringe researcher talked about. I don't know.
You know what's really crazy is Jeremy Reese was on the call with Amy Eskridge when she was talking about how they've already discovered anti-grav tech.
He actually texted me like 5 days ago. He's like, there's a lot going on. We should
bring him back.
Yeah, let's get
Because he hasn't been on for a couple. He was on in 2021, I think.
Yeah, something like that. Now's prescient. I'll tell him.
We got to bring him on.
Yeah.
Yeah, the alien scientist?
Yeah, Jeremy Risk, the alien scientist on YouTube. He's been doing deep, dark research into dark things for about 16 years. He inspired me in 2010 to get more involved. But I mean, dark things like
Ashton Forbes was
Dark
checking her
Ops.
2 years ago.
And that'd be fun to get them in a room together because
Yeah,
they've
we
had
should do
beef
it.
and they're both smart guys. I think.
And then we disappear.
Yeah.
But I just want to make sure. Listen. If there's any future people out there, or lizard people, or Tartarians, or Atlanteans, or aliens, or whatever, it was all Tate.
But the question is, if you got the call,
He's the
and they're like,
boss.
the government's like, we need you now. Would you go? I mean,
Actually, the CEO of the company isn't. It's Canary M. Burns.
Canary M.
Yeah.
CM. Because once you go,
You guys are just so uncultured.
You're talking about
You get a pass because you're like 17. So
I think he was talking about The Simpsons.
Is
right?
it?
I have not seen all of them either.
Do they let these scientists out later? I think they do, and it's like,
come on, you guys. The CEO of the Springfield nuclear power plant was Mr. Burns' canary, so that when he got in legal trouble, he said, "Actually, it's not me. It's the canary."
It's genius.
Canary M. Burns.
So
So when they look for CM Burns, they're like, "That's not me."
I wonder if like the next phase of life is working for the government, and I don't want to.
Oh, that sounds horrible. What are you talking about?
I want to help humanity. Obviously, government's a great way to do that.
The
if it's
post
a good
office is
government.
hiring.
Post office. But like, I mean, like doing like deep quantum teleportation technology and stuff.
My package, I don't know where it goes, and then it appears on my friend's porch.
Could be a quantum thing.
Amazon, I don't watch them. I don't know how it works. I order it, it shows up. It could be going through some sort of anti-gravity.
Yo, they're in a race to do anti-gravity right now.
To get packages delivered.
They already have it.
I wonder.
That's what Amy Eskridge was saying. They already have independently discovered it. And apparently the story is she was offered black ops. They came to her and said, come work for us. And she was like, no, we're going to make this public. And
yeah, you can't.
Why would you
that's
do
the
that?
problem. There are some things you just don't make public. It's like the Manhattan Project. You know, you really want to help the world. Don't give the Chinese access to anti-gravity technology.
yeah, but it's because the greater
as a boogeyman, I don't
okay, joking aside about Greater Earth, because it's a fun conspiracy theory. And the reason why it's so fun is that it means there's many more places to go. You know, like you don't got to go to Mars. You can actually just go to the other side of the planet. There's more continents there. But outside of that, the general idea is just that there is an overarching cabal government that we're chickens in a chicken coop to them. China, Russia, Iran, all of this meaningless. There is a global power structure that actually runs the show. And if you defy their technological supremacy, they kill you.
That's what Alex Jones said is called the shadow government. I asked him the difference. What's the difference between the deep state and the shadow government? He was like, well, deep states, we all know what the deep state is, the bureaucracy that tries to run. The shadow government's in place in case of thermonuclear war. Everything goes down. There is a government ready to go, according to Alex.
But don't you think, like, look, I know people, I'll wear a NASA hat every once in a while, right? And I went to the Artemis 2 launch, and people are like, this is all fake, right? I'm like, look, seeing the inside of the government, I honestly think these people are much too incompetent to be able to fake all of this stuff. It's actually more likely that they did just orbit the moon and come back than them be able to successfully fake it.
Yeah,
It's true.
I know.
So-
Yeah, I mean, like if you go back and look at the initial Apollo missions, the people that were like the most vocally, angry and speculated it didn't even happen were like Soviet sympathizers, and I'm not trying to like go full McCarthy here, but also it was like leftists in America. They like were furious. Do you remember all the signs they would hold at like civil rights marches, and they'd be like, all this money for rockets, but no money for like black youth, and it's like. I think that's kind of like what drove a lot of it.
We've given plenty of money to black youth, but
Yeah,
that's
I know.
a topic
So
for a different time.
And I always think like the, again, I'll play hardball here. I think the most of the shadowy government stuff is kind of cope because horrible things happen and they tend to happen for no reason. Like it's comforting for people to think, well, at least someone's in control. Even if they're like my direct opponent, even if they hate me, at least they're in control. And I'm sort of like, the world is very chaotic and the reality is no one's really in control, at least on Earth. I mean, I do think God is obviously in control, but like as far as like, in our physical realm, no, actually the world's very tenuous. The world is very chaotic. And it actually is kind of comforting to think, well, this is all planned by this shadowy cabal. I'm like, I don't think it is. I really don't. I mean, one, I don't see any evidence really, but secondly, it's just like, no, I think what's more likely is what we're seeing is pretty close to reality. I mean, to your point, when we get close to like power structures, you feel the heat of actual power structures. It's a lot of incompetence, a lot of people that can't keep their mouth shut. You see leaks all the time.
Yep.
It's people that are a bit smarter. That's it.
How would you guys feel if we actually were like North Korea? The world that we live in and the technology we consume, the internet and all that stuff is actually just an isolated region of the planet. We think we're free. We think this is the planet, but we've actually never seen real human technology.
But
Would you
so
be
does
sad
that mean
about it?
nobody here has seen it?
It means that there are people outside. So imagine there's like 12 billion people that live normal human lives with advanced technology beyond our wildest dreams, and the inner continents are just a slave portion where we mine cobalt and stuff.
I feel like, somebody would have given some evidence of it.
That's what the third world thinks about. For the record, this is what the third world thinks about America.
Yeah, like actually, you could look at like the North Sentinelese, right?
Yeah.
It's
Well, like literally people that are like extracting cobalt in like the Congo right now are like, man, we're doing this all for these American overlords, and they fly on planes, and they can like get lighter. They have lighters that make fire out of nowhere. Like these are like really amazing like species, and we're stuck here banging away in these mines all day. Like that's what they think. They look at like this Earth theory. Like that's how people in the third world think about the West. Honestly, is like they're like, wow, these people are. Really, they got
Check this
something
out.
going on.
ChatGPT made this. I asked ChatGPT, what is Greater Earth Conspiracy? Explained it. I said, make a picture. And it made this, which it's not a very good understanding because it made it look Earth looks like an eclair or like a Boston cream. You know what I mean? It's like disc shaped. But the general idea is this is what Greater Earth theorists think. That the 7 continents are inside this ring of ice, and outside of it are vast continents. And the reason we can't develop anti-grav technology and stuff like that is because the human beings outside of the ice wall who've been around for tens of thousands of years are way more advanced and just kill you if you try to escape.
But look at the picture. Look in the bottom left. There's the ice wall goes through the Midwest. You can see the Florida.
It does. Yeah, it's not a very good image.
It's a lot closer than we thought.
It's kind of like the hollow Earth.
And wait,
theory, just the
Canadians
opposite.
Canadians are stuck in the Matrix, and then
Wait, I actually got ChatGPT made a better one.
and then there's a second Earth.
That's interesting.
Ooh.
That's some old Hyperborea content. See, the prison is in your mind. They want you to think you're locked inside of an ice wall so they can do what they want to you, like the chicken.
Fake moon landing.
Little do
Part
they
of the
know
cover.
we're all neighbors.
Yeah.
I can't get into this ice wall thing. I mean,
I've never heard of it before.
beyond
You've never
the
heard of Greater
accretion-
Earth? No. Bro.
Beyond like the galactic accretion disk, there might be heavy doses of ice, but I don't really see evidence for it. I'm talking galactic scale.
also,
Look, the important thing to understand is this is no different than claiming, reptilians live underground at the Denver airport. Like, this is a conspiracy theory.
Some people
That's a
think
good one.
There are humans that have been living underground for a long time. And
No.
in Las Vegas,
I'm
the
sorry.
homeless.
Ian. The theory is, that's true.
the Jewish people in New York. I mean,
Literally in the tunnels under.
The theory is that when the meteor struck and clouded up the atmosphere, there was a more intelligent species of dinosaur that went into
Damn.
caves.
Oh, you're talking about the Yucatan one 63 million years ago.
They went into caves to avoid the catastrophe and lived underground off lichen and moss and other stuff and water. And so they cannot come on the surface because they've developed for tens of thousands or millions of years with no light. So sunlight burns their skin. So they operate a vast network underground of advanced technologies.
Now that's a bigger take because we don't have evidence of humans coexisting with dinosaurs. But 13,000 years ago, when Atlantis seems to have been dominating the planet, it's possible that a lot of people went underground and then the meteors hit. Maybe they unexpectedly, of course, but that they're still there.
Have you seen that movie, The Descent? It's kind of about that. Like in the caves, there's like people in there.
Someone said they're coming out soon.
And also, usually the explanation like worked out for it's like, okay, let's just steelman the moon landing. We faked it to demoralize the Soviets. It worked. They collapsed like 20, 30 years later. So it's like, that's awesome. Great work, CIA. Like, this is why we pay you guys.
Here we go. This one's a little bit better.
All right, so that's the ice wall. Oh,
Yeah. This is what greater Earth theorists believe.
Ice hand.
And outside of the ice wall is Tartaria and Atlantis. And it attaches itself to the Great Mud Flood conspiracy theory. Do you know what that one is, Nick?
No.
There's a conspiracy theory about the Great Empire of Tartaria, which was a planet-spanning one-world government, a great empire. And when a great flood happened, waters washed over all of the cities. Anybody who's ever experienced a flood knows after a flood, there's a thick layer of mud. So the mud flood is the great flood of Noah, washed over the earth and left 10, 20, 30 feet of mud, which then hardens. And the buildings that we occupy in some cities are actually much older than we think. And that's why there are weird instances where you can see half of a door frame buried in the ground. Like there will be sidewalk and half a door frame sealed off. And people just go like, why does that building have a door there? The real answer is because there probably used to be a cellar door that they filled in. But of course, people who are bored will just be like, because when the flood happened.
but man, if you look at the Rakat structure in northwest Mauritania, that's where they think the capital of Atlantis was. It was covered in mud. And the Mu are the people in the Pacific. The MU is how they spell it. They were like a Pacific spanning civilization, apparently, that was just submerged during the flood because it's called isostatic change in the Earth's crust. It was compressed by a bunch of ice in the north, all in the northern hemisphere. When the meteors hit, it melted all that ice. So the decompression, the land itself came up because of that isostatic pressure was released. So land elsewhere on the planet went down as it came up to compensate, and they sunk. So not only were they hit with a flood, they sunk. That's what happened, I think, to
Here you
a lot
go.
of these sieves.
This is the kind of stuff. I'm not sure what he's insinuating, but it's probably something dumb. And this guy, Flat Earth, said, why are there 3 to 4 floors buried underground with windows? That's the kind of thing that people go like, hey, wait a minute. And they claim it's proof of a great mud flood.
Is that Göbekli Tepe?
That? No.
I wonder if Göbekli Tepe was hit by a flood or if they just buried it, because it's mostly underground, and that's where they think civilization recovered 13,000 years ago in Turkey. Just old, it looks like a trade hub or something.
Yeah, I prefer to report on like the ice as we know it today, immigrations and customs enforcement, not a great ice wall or whatever. So this is all news to me. It's interesting, but so where is this? Do we even know?
I don't know. I just looked it up. This is a weird pseudo-historical theory from the Russian nationalism and misunderstandings maps from Siberia, known as Tartaria. Tartaria was a highly advanced global spanning empire which was erased from history following a mud flood which swept the empire away. And believers in this theory point to real-world buildings with submerged levels as proof. The wildest thing about this is that many of the buildings they point to were built in the 19th and 20th centuries. They think the empire fell very recently, but the survivors erased Tartaria from history.
Yeah, the Rakat structure, is that what it's called? That one's actually a little weird. I mean, that seems like it was probably a meteor hit, right? Is that
The Rakat structure, they believe it was formed. We could pull this up too if you want to.
wild,
Rakat
yeah.
structure.
Is it Rikat?
RICHAT?
Yeah, that it was an underground
Let's
volcano.
pull Google Earth.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can
it'll-
see it
it'll
literally.
go straight to Google
satellite
Earth.
on Google Earth. Oh, it's so cool.
Straight up news.
Oh, yeah.
It was under. There it is in the west. That scar in the bottom left. You see?
This?
If you type, there it
Not
is.
that visible.
See, I'm so familiar with it. I see it in the bottom. It's very bottom left now. See that scar?
This?
zoom
There it
in
is.
that.
Yep.
That it's an underground volcano that couldn't breach the surface, so it bubbled out and rippled out. And then that was like 1 million years ago. And then humans settled on it when they found it.
Yeah.
And that's all like a plateau. That's all mud. Look at the striations, the sand being pushed up onto the land from the west
Yeah.
due to the flood. And you can see salt. that's probably likely from the ocean water that used to fill up those rings, and they seem to have dug out.
Yeah, there's also expanding Earth theory.
I believe that.
Expanding Earth theory is that the tectonic plates of Earth are not actually moving into each other. It's actually a compressed ball with layers that's slowly expanding, opening outward. And so the reason why they say the Sahara used to be submerged, the reason why Egypt used to be submerged as evidence of water damage on the Sphinx, is because when the layers of the tectonic plates are compressed, there's more water on the surface. There's less surface area, so the water gets deeper. As it expands outward, less and less, it requires more water to reach those elevations. So the water thins out as the planet expands.
Oh, yeah, like a sponge in reverse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like those little toys when you had in kindergarten with the ball that you could like, you know what I'm talking about? A little spiky ball, and you could squeeze it open and it would turn to a sphere. And then,
Oh, yeah. That's allowed.
There's a lot of interest in this area. Like there's the Qattara Depression in Egypt, where it's like this vast part of Egypt that's like under sea level. And there was like a proposal. The British initially wanted to nuke the strip along the Mediterranean to flood the Qattara Depression. And then the CIA quite literally, this is like all a matter of historical record, petitioned Dwight D. Eisenhower to flood the Qattara Depression. And I think the number one reason they cited why they should do that is just because it'd be like cool.
Wait,
But it would actually be great for Egypt. Like it would actually give them a lot more arable land, so they should totally do it.
Oh, they're talking about building a canal?
It's called the Qattara Depression, yeah. And if you look along like the coast of the Mediterranean, the Egyptian government has explored building a canal into it and flood it, because there's only like 40 people that live in there. They can move them pretty easily, and it's like it would create basically an inland sea for Egypt to use.
I'm deeply interested in this stuff. I don't know how it ties
Did you guys hear
into
about
modern governance, but I have a feeling it does.
Did you hear about the second Sphinx?
No.
You guys haven't heard about the second Sphinx?
I heard about the second.
Pull it up for you guys.
Sphincter.
And I've heard that there's been more advancement into their underground.
Look at this, guys. How did you miss this one? Second Sphinx buried under sand suggests megastructure below the pyramids of Giza.
Wow.
Remember when they did that LiDAR or whatever, and they were like, yo, there's gigantic pillars under this thing. What is going on?
Yeah.
What if the pyramid is actually not a pyramid? It's an obelisk.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're actually 8-sided too,
What?
not just 4-sided. Yeah, they're
1,
like
2, 3,
little
4.
creases.
Oh, really?
You might want to fact check me on that, but I have heard that.
oh man!
Like went deep into the pyramids.
They dug out those heads. I think they were called the Moai in Easter Island.
Yeah,
And they
yeah.
thought they were just
yeah,
head
Easter Island.
statues, but when
Here,
they
check it
dug
out.
down, they were bodies
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
This is the conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's real. There's a picture.
Oh, that
They must
makes
have
that
dug
proves
out a
it's
part.
true.
Yeah, they dug out a
Yeah,
part of it. Yeah.
they did. They dug out 17 quadrillion tons of earth and sand,
All for a
and then
photo op.
backed away with the helicopter to get this photograph.
Yeah.
It was worth
I'm
it though.
glad
That's a
they did
good.
that.
Yeah, it's a good shot.
Yeah.
Let's use ChatGPT for that.
It is interesting, like the European I mean, like the Romans were like obsessed with the obelisks, and they would take them from Egypt and bring them. Like the obelisk in St. Peter's Basilica or in St. Peter's Square is an actual Egyptian obelisk. They just took and put it there.
Yeah, there's a lot of materials. They took like all of them and
Yeah.
brought it all to one spot.
If
for
you walk
some
around
reason.
London, there's like 8. I think there's 8
Well-
Egyptian obelisks that are just around the city of London that you can go and look at.
I'll just tell you guys what really happened, because I know. The featured people told me. So 10,000 years ago, there were colonists coming to terraform Earth and settle. The colonial government got into a dispute over the structure of governance as they began to terraform the planet. And, I want to call it a civil war, but a conflict broke out between two factions within this colonizing military faction. It was a coup, essentially. The losers were cast down into the Americas, stripped of access to technology, and left destitute. And the survivors constructed these beacons to blast a flare to the home fleet for rescue. They then came, brought them back, and they flew off into the sunset.
Half of that story is Mormonism. Banished tribe to North
And then
America.
the banished tribe on South America eventually lost their understanding of the world, because after a few generations, it's just stories.
Yeah.
You tell your great-great-grandson that we had chariots in the sky, and they're going to be like, okay. And in their mind, they're imagining a guy riding a horse in the air, and you're imagining in your mind a jet, but you can't, and then you die, and then your great-great-grandson's like, yeah, they had like chariots flying through the sky. I don't even know what it looked like. I've never seen one.
I've been thinking they're hot air balloons lately. They're like, how did they move the Egyptian, all these heavy blocks? So you put them on big platforms and then tie hot air balloons to the platforms, and then you walk them with a rope. Or
No,
like,
I
like
looked this
100
up.
people to walk it.
I looked up, like, because everyone's like, how did they move the stones to build the pyramids? And I was like, well, how much did they weigh? The stones apparently weighed like 2.5 million tons. And it's like, wow, that's a lot. How many people would you need to pull that? And it's like 50
Like 2.5
million pounds. Sorry, pounds, not tons.
It's like, what in the hell?
Yeah, it's like
2.5 million
everyone.
tons is the pyramid itself.
man.
Need all
No, but
hands.
2.5 million pounds, and it's like 50 guys with ropes over like slats or whatever, and they can just drag it.
What about like up? You know, at the.
I mean, had they
How'd you get
invented
it up?
pulleys and
Yeah.
stuff yet?
Well, I think it'd be like really, really.
I think they floated them up in little canals on water, and then they would like lock the water off once they got to a certain elevation, and then fill it up, and it would go up to the next one, and then they'd lock
Oh,
it
it's
off.
like
again.
Minecraft.
So, I mean, it just makes me think here, right? If these people were that intelligent back then, how did you end up with people, like kind of next door, like Ilhan Omar? How many years later?
She pops in right there.
How did it fail? Where did they go wrong to the point?
Oh
where
no,
you
it
end
says
up with that
5,000
situation?
people. 5,000 people could pull 2.5 million pounds.
Evolution is not guaranteed. De-evolution, you can always go backwards.
Oh wait, I'm way wrong. I think the stones were 2.5 tons.
Yeah.
Which is 5,000 pounds.
Yeah.
5,000 pounds.
No, I had
Yeah, because a ton is
because-
2,000 pounds.
Yeah, they need to. I thought they were floating those things. That's just a little too much to imagine dragging across the sand. It doesn't make sense.
Well, some people say
They
they, had
had hot air
like
balloons.
trees or like trunks, and they'd roll them. But like,
Yeah. The whole flying machine thing, I think, is very important not to overlook. The Vimana is an ancient Indian flying machine that the king would fly around on, probably a hot air balloon or some kind of.
Yeah, 10 to 50 people could pull one pyramid block.
And that's across the sand with friction.
Yep.
So, are they just pulling this out of their ass, or do they actually, have some reason to believe? Because
Well, I watched a video of one guy moving a 100-ton slab. There's I think it was Ancient Aliens. He had this gigantic concrete slab, and what he did was he dug out underneath one side of it, and then he rolled it.
Yeah. That super tall one.
And then there was another trick that he was doing with hammering wedges into it to create to make it teeter back and forth, and then you can walk it.
Easter Island one.
And then you have two people, and then it's just counterbalancing its own weight, and it walks.
My question is like, how do they get them really high up into the air? Like, there's one that's like 200 tons, but like 100 feet up into the.
Oh, that one's obvious. Aliens.
That's what I'm thinking.
The big ones, they had to tap the resources of aliens.
Sound really strong, guys.
Hot air balloons is
Really
my
tall
guess.
guys.
Is it
elevation.
confirmed that the Sphinx originally had a dog's head, and the pharaoh was like, knock that head off and put my face there?
It can't be. I don't think it could be confirmed, but they think it was a lion. I mean, that's why the head looks so receded. It used to be a full-on frontal lion, and then some idiot pharaoh egomaniac was probably tripping his balls for 30 years straight. Was like, my God, my father must be worshipped.
Oh yeah, it was a lion.
And then they came by and broke his nose off because they're like, fuck that guy's father, fuck the patriarchy, the monarchy.
Because people say, like, you notice the head is much smaller than the rest of the body. It's disproportionate.
Yeah.
Right.
So the theory is that it was originally a lion, and then a pharaoh was like, carve its head into my face.
Or I think it was his father's face is the
Yeah.
conspiracy theory. Probably is what happened. I mean, who else is going to commission something like that?
My dad.
And the theory that the pyramids line up with Orion's belt only makes sense if they were built 10,000 BC, when they would have aligned with Orion's belt.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dude, Corin Nemec was saying they were sensory deprivation tanks, these sarcophagi, that they would go in them, cover up, and then fill them with like salt water and
Well, you know why, right?
Awesome.
to astral project.
When you go into sensory deprivation, you isolate yourself from all of reality. Everything becomes uncertainty. Every electron, every function becomes probabilistic infinity. And then in that sensory deprivation, you can manifest reality to be what you want when you emerge.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, George St. Pierre did a sensory deprivation. He went to the pyramids. I think it was with he went out there with Jimmy Corsetti, Bright Insight, and when George came out of the, George St. Pierre, the MMA fighter, well, super fit. He came out of the activation chamber, they call it. And he was like, I'm going to fight again. I'm going to win the championship again. Jimmy was like, what? And he said he had a look in his eyes like he had been awakened. And then like a week went by and George was like, no, I don't know what I was thinking. I'm not getting back.
Have you guys ever done sensory deprivation?
No.
No, but I really want to now.
It's like $50. Go do it.
We should get a,
You
I
like
say
your
we should get a
bathtub,
tank, but it's a
couple
lot of
lights off?
cleaning.
No. Sensory deprivation chambers literally isolate everything. They're float tanks. They give you it's like a little bit of water with a ton of salt, so you float in it.
Yeah.
And then there's no light, no sound, just nothing.
Do you do that stuff, Nick? Like meditation and sensory deprivation?
No, dude, I can barely turn my phone on silent. I'm sitting here anxious that I've missed some sort of massive news story as I'm sitting here doing the show. No, I would go crazy in a sensory deprivation chamber or whatever. That sounds like torture. Is that a CIA thing? What do you?
There is the new method. The new method is you turn the lights off while you're showering and you enjoy the shower more because it takes away one of your senses.
Oh, that's
so a lot of people on Twitter have been saying I'm turning the lights off and my life's improving.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds like just something someone made up and it's a placebo effect. People are like, sure, I guess.
Shit, well, it works.
I showered in the dark 4 days ago.
I heard that if you take a mallet for tenderizing meat and bash your face with it, it makes you more attractive.
No, a Haitian must have told you that. I would
No,
say.
it was
That's,
clavicular.
Yeah, and
clavicular.
it's true. It works. It's a thing. I'm not endorsing it.
I think that guy actually is retarded. And what bothers me, I'm not being a dick. I think he actually is retarded. And I think it's sad that he's clearly autistic, and I mean that in the literal sense. Mm-hmm. He doesn't understand basic social cues and social understanding of humanity. So he takes a very mathematical view of what a human is supposed to do or be. And all these people crowd around him and just clap and cheer for him and get him to do crazy things. So he's doing ridiculous drugs. He's sterilizing himself. What he's doing is no different from from the trans stuff. Just drugs and surgery to mess up his brain because he's clearly a young autistic guy.
Yeah. I view him the same as Brian Johnson, where they're kind of like astronauts, where they're like, I'm going to sacrifice my body to see what could happen.
No, I disagree. There's researchers in South America that are injecting themselves with gene editing technology so they stop producing fat so they live longer. That's more like it.
Yeah,
Brian Johnson is Brian Johnson's the guy who says, I'm going to eat a teaspoon of olive oil before dinner and live forever. And it's just like, well, okay, let me know how it goes. But there are these genetic engineers that have gone to private islands where they can't be stopped, and they're injecting themselves with gene editing viruses and stuff so that their bodies literally are genetically altered and they live forever.
That kind of goes hard. I can't.
See, I agree with that. Of Brian Johnson, he gets blood tests, he exercises, blood transfusions, and he eats olive oil. Those are great things, but that's just diet and exercise.
Yeah, but he injects his son's blood.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, now we're getting into Epstein type stuff here with that.
Oh, it's true. Yeah.
See these guys, it's kind of
what is it called?
Wait, that was the same guy? The injecting his. I think I saw this was a year and a half ago.
It was
or
a
something
Netflix
like that.
documentary. Yeah. No, I view these guys. I view him. I view them as I'm being kind of ironic. I kind of view them as astronauts. I'm if they want to do that, let's just see. Because that's maybe not Brian Johnson, but clavicular. That's stuff everyone has access to. Everyone could do it.
Also, dude, his commitment to the bit. I was watching this interview the other day, and he's talking about height maxing, and someone's like, well, what happens if you have to take your shoes off with a girl in the bed or something? He's like, what you can do is you can sag your pants down really low, and then you can tiptoe max.
Well, he also said
he'd never get caught.
Yeah, and he also said you can have vantage points in your house. So there's different ledges around the house. You can step up on it, look a little taller.
Is he short or something?
No, I think he's average, but he wants the height mog. And then what's interesting with the vantage points thing is they asked him the obvious question. Well, what happens if you need to
under
move?
your bed?
What happens if you need to move throughout your room? He says, I don't know. You just wait for it to look away or go to the bathroom, and then you move to your next. And I'm this is awesome. This is guerrilla astronaut. It's this is stuff everyone could do. Should we do it? Probably not, because he sterilized himself. But I'm kind of viewing him as a modern day.
How did he? First of all, I want to say you're calling it a bit. I actually don't think it's a bit. I think it's that's just he has been either brainwashed into doing it through his autism or. I don't think he's fake. I mean, doesn't he do a 24-hour live stream? It's hard to fake it on a 24-hour live stream all the time.
I'm sorry, I have to apologize to Brian Johnson. He is injecting himself with experimental gene altering.
He went to Honduras or something.
Yeah, he went to. They call him vampire skin, and they say that he got an injection. Experimental gene therapy developed by Minicircle based in Austin. The treatment took place at a GARM clinic, a private stem cell gene therapy facility on the Honduran island of Roatan.
Yeah.
It's not approved.
That whole island.
FST344. It's composed of a plasmid designed to combat frailty and lengthen the human lifespan by promoting the production of follistatin, a protein that supports muscle development and health. The plasmid was engineered to be easy to inject subcutaneously, cheap to manufacture, and have the ability to carry any gene Minicircle wanted to add to the body. Plasmids are literally from BioShock, where you inject yourself and then your hand starts on fire.
Yeah, they're literally doing Captain America experience on that island. It's crazy what's going on. I was watching a bunch of YouTube videos about it. So that's why, I view him.
You want to do it?
No, because I think
Ian, what about you? You want to live forever?
Guys are doing it for us.
$25,000. How about it?
I like the idea of living until I want to stop. I don't know.
How about we send you down to Roatan? We'll drop 25K and we'll
That's
make
why
you live
Brian
forever.
Johnson's doing it for us.
Right.
See what happens.
But hey,
You're
it'll
astronaut.
also make you ripped
Yeah.
because the follistatin makes your body stop producing fat, starts producing muscle.
It's just so early. In 20 or 30 years, once we see the repercussions.
That'll be too late. You'll have too much genetic damage. You got to do it now.
Maybe.
Now or never.
I'm
Now or never,
open
bro.
to going and checking it out, but I'm not really a biohacker. I mean, I like do it through diet and exercise and meditation.
Yeah.
So an interesting thing. You guys have probably heard of Mario Knopfel before, right? Of
course.
This guy, I used to work with him. I haven't talked to him in probably a year and a half, not because of any fault. It's just we parted ways. But this guy spends a ridiculous amount of money on trying to reverse aging. And I mean, he's probably like 12 years older than I am. I'm 27. He looks younger than I do. So, like, at some point, it does work.
Who is this?
Mario Knopfel, the...
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so he...
Oh, yeah.
I've met him in person multiple
A
times.
lot of
He's
life
been here.
extension out of
Oh,
Harvard.
he's been here.
He's been on the show and we did an interview with him.
Yeah, so you've looked at him. He doesn't look...
He looks like he's 20.
Exactly.
How old is he?
He's
52?
I'm not going to say exactly what his
Look at
age
this.
is.
Look at this video. This is wild. This is
Bee swarm.
this is a map of immigration into Europe
Illegal.
starting in 2008. Right.
This is just the illegals.
It's a swarm.
Just wait. Just wait. Just wait.
Why is this not viral?
There you go.
What is that? What's the red?
What's the red? Syria? Oh, Syria.
Ukraine.
No, it's
Now
wars.
Syria.
It's every time there's a war.
Oh, what?
Bro.
Yo, watch the insurgents.
Is this to destroy Europe? I honestly, looking at this, I'm
Looks like
like,
an invasion.
well, I'm like, the only purpose of this is to destroy Europe.
Yeah, literally. That's all it is.
Yeah, to control it.
No, destroy it.
Well, the way you control liberal democracy.
Wait, hold on.
Voting, so you.
Why are Mexicans going to Europe?
I'd rather them go there, to be honest
a lot
with
of them
you.
go to Spain. Some
That's
of them
fair.
claim through descent, and then some of them just go.
I can understand why Eritreans are going.
Right.
If I was in
So the-
Eritrea, I
the
would
red
also leave.
every time it's red, that means that's the lead source of migration that year.
Oh.
So Albania used to be in the 08, and then it just really started kicking off.
2016 is Syria. Yeah.
Jeez.
Wow.
Oh man.
And they made a
Each stick man is 100 people.
Oh,
And
that is.
look at the a
wild.
handful of Americans rocking up.
I mean,
Screw this. Obama sucks. I'm illegally immigrating to France.
oh,
Kind of base, actually.
is that all of Europe? That's all of Europe. I can't really tell because it's
yeah.
swarmed.
Swarmed. They're like bumblebees.
Oh, okay.
What's the epicenter there, though? It's worth looking at. That looks like Germany ends up being the epicenter.
No. It
Spain?
looks like
Or,
Greece.
Italy, Greece?
Looks like Athens.
They, well,
Oh, the
that's
Mediterranean.
because they enter through the Balkans. That's how they
Yeah.
enter. So they enter through the Balkans.
So here, everything swarms around here.
Yeah, the Visegrad.
Yeah.
Damn Croatians. Just kidding. I love you, Croatia.
Look at that.
Yes, they start
Look where the
there and then
deepest-
they work their way in.
Oh man, that is the moment, dude.
Oh, well, that was in Syria. Really kicked off.
Just like giz, and all this juice just flows.
Yeah, it looks like Greece and
a
that-
lot of them enter through Romania. They enter through Croatia because
Yeah.
those are like EU ports that are easy to get into.
I mean, it looks like Greece to be honest.
Greece, yeah, it's just easy to get into. It's
Well, I went there and I went to the Isle of Lesbos. That's what it's called, Lesbos.
That's where the word came from?
It is. Yes, it literally is.
Yeah, no, I believe it. I just
Just
Why?
think once you enter Greece, then you're in the Schengen zone,
Yeah.
so you don't need to pass any more border posts.
And it's really easy to get in. I watched dudes swim.
yeah,
Like they were swimming to the island. We filmed it. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And there are people standing there like to help them pull them up. And then on the island is a refugee welcome center. Like you walk in and they'll give you food and they'll clean you up. And then people sneak out and they dip off.
the next thing you know, they're in France. Or
You're like,
Yep.
we can't.
And then the
eat-
funniest thing was when I went to France, there were a bunch of sub-Saharan African dudes standing outside saying that like we were lied and tricked into coming here. I interviewed these guys. They said we were told there would be jobs and places to live, but it's an inflatable tent. Basically, it's like a bouncy house, right? They put a fan on that goes brrr, and it blows up, and you go inside and it's really cold. And what the guys told me was they'd never experienced winter before, and it was terrible, and they want to go home.
relatable.
Yeah, they were like, I've never seen snow in my life. This is torture.
Well, have you seen in Calais in France where it's like the staging point for people to enter?
Didn't they destroy that though?
They've destroyed it like 3 times now.
Wow.
Popping back up. And
Bro,
it's
I
like
was
a tent city.
I was there, and they would climb on top of trucks, semi trucks, and then like try and cover themselves and get brought in on the top of these trucks into the UK.
So insane.
Like they couldn't defeat the liberal economic order militarily. Nobody could. So they're like, how do we just destroy it? I don't even think that this New World Order thing wants the liberal economic order to survive in the state that it was, like British, led.
I think this reinforces the liberal world order because, I mean, look, if you can sort of turn everyone into like a beige biomass, then it's much easier to control people that way. Like if you erode national sovereignty, that's actually makes it easier for like companies, not massive companies. It's much easier to sell people products than like for them to have identities. As in, someone can put on a Captain America t-shirt much easier than they could be a proud American or something like that. So people find their identity in consumer products.
Like changed with Nixon. I act like I realize it every time I bring it up. But like, oh, obviously in the 70s, the New World Order, the liberal economic order changed the definition of what liberal economic order meant. Went from like a rules-based American-led economy to a global, corporatocracy, essentially.
Yeah, I know. So we've seen the videos and such of all these illegals come over on boats, especially to, even places like the UK, right? They'll go to France. They'll be like, this place sucks because France does suck. And then they'll be like, okay, well, I want to go somewhere less sucky, so I'm going to go to the UK instead. And so they'll take a boat to the UK. And they'll end up on the coast. They'll all run onto the shore, and then they're just, allowed to stay. And then Valentina Gomez, I have lots of opinions on that whole thing, but she ended up announcing that she was that she had a visa approved to go to the UK to speak at an anti-Muslim rally, and was making a big deal about it on X. And so the British government, understandably, went back and said no. We're not going to approve a visa here because she was, they made the argument that she was talking it up a lot. Like she was going to create problems when she was there. And it's like, okay, I get that. Yeah, right. So she then decided, okay, I'm going to come, but I'm going to take a boat and see what you say when I come up to your shore with a boat like all of these migrants from Africa do. And so it's like, okay, well, I guess there's a little bit of a check. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out, though, to be honest.
That's true. I mean, she's like literally attacking Carl Benjamin and saying he's never done anything for England. I'm like, who are you? Like, and she's saying this in like basically broken English.
I know. It's like, this is not a representative of my country.
She's like the great replacement. I'm like, you are the great replacement. You're
Colombian. Come on.
I just can't. Anyone that like disparages like people like that are actually doing effective work, I just have zero time for. But that will be interesting. I mean, if they can stop her boat, then that's evidence that they can like stop these boats whenever they want.
Oh, I wonder if they've determined that she has bad intentions for the fatherland if they just won't let her in. They'll be like, no, you're special exception, Valentina. You've already played your hand. You were supposed to go there quietly and calmly and then make a scene and leave.
Yeah, that's usually what people that are like, Americans or whatever intending on protesting in Britain is like, you don't tell them at the border, like, hey, by the way, I'm here to give you problems.
Yeah, it's like, of course. And that's why I was saying, like, I totally understand why they revoked her visa.
This was her plan the whole time.
Yeah.
She wanted to get her visa spiked so that way she could make a scene. Yep. And she does all this just to get like 10% in the Missouri Secretary of State.
She needs to study under Laura Loomer. Laura is the best at PR. Like, there's nobody better. Remember when she handcuffed herself to Twitter HQ?
Yeah.
She got banned from Twitter, and that night she was the #1 worldwide trend. She had illegal immigrants jump over the wall into Nancy Pelosi's property, and then she staged like a press event. I don't know of anybody who's better at getting press and generating attention than Laura Loomer.
Yeah, I mean, if the goal is just to generate attention, like, sure, but like, let's not pretend that you're advancing right-wing ideas, and then Carl Benjamin's like, what's some fumble? Like, what are we talking about here? Carl Benjamin, has played a large part in why like reform's top of the polls, why Restore is emerging, is because he's like single-handedly pushed the Overton. And I'm not trying to glaze him. I'm just like trying to be realistic of like, maybe we don't attack figures that like are actually pretty like contributing quite a lot to the zeitgeist. It makes zero sense to me.
Yeah, that's.
She called him like fat, and he was like, "I'm 46 with 4 kids." Like, of course.
Like, she called Carl fat.
Yeah, she called Carl fat, and then he was
actually lost a lot of weight.
I know, and then his response was so funny. He was like, "Well, if you're a 26-year-old unmarried woman, like, of course it's going to be a big deal to you." Yeah, so I just have like zero time.
I'm 46 with what did he say, 4 kids?
Yeah, like, of course I'm not going to be like an Adonis. Yeah, of course, like.
He's great. Carl, shout out.
I can't
He's awesome.
stand. I know Carl's the best. That's why it was so crazy. I just can't. The engagement baiting, the engagement farming, has just gotten so out of control. Where it's like destroying the right.
Yeah,
like
it's
no one,
gotta stop.
no
It's
one,
all fake. It's all fake.
No British normie is gonna see her like spurging out, and they're gonna be like, yeah, maybe like this migration thing needs to be. No, they're gonna like double down because they're gonna see her just completely.
Bro, Tucker Carlson.
Optics are key.
Tucker Carlson's. I'm tormented for having supported Trump. I apologize for this. I'm just like, man. I remember the Tucker Carlson where he was like, he got accused of being racist when he was in Australia, and he's like, racist? It's like, my problem's with liberal white women, not black people. And it was like the funniest thing ever. And now, I don't know what he's doing. He's saying like, I'm sorry for misleading you. It wasn't intentional, and I will be tormented by this. Yeah. And I'm just like, what? That is not the reasonable response to your criticisms of Trump. Like, that's not sane. That's just nuts. That's just crazy.
Especially because he was glazing like a month ago with Joe Kent, where it's like, although they were like, problems with the Iran, were like, I still think Trump's great, and like, oh, pray for peace, etc. And then all of a sudden, a month later, he's like, yeah, I'm so sorry, I got to pay penance now for telling people to vote for Trump over Kamala. Like, what are you doing?
I voted for Obama in 2008. I have never had this moment where I was like, I'm tormented every day. And I'm sorry for having voted for Barack Obama.
It comes across as so fake. Like, I don't actually believe that he's being tormented. But I like Tucker as a.
I did. That was the line for me. Like, I know him. I mean, he's been very nice to me, but I don't find that sincere at all. And I don't know. Listen, I'll put it this way. Fine, he's tormented. That's okay. But he said, was this always the plan? There's no way I will ever believe that he did not understand what Miriam Adelson's support for Donald Trump meant. Everybody knew what that meant. Donald Trump killed Soleimani. He launched missiles at Syria. He hired John Bolton. This is not surprising to any honest person. And to claim now, like, was this always the plan? What are you talking about? Everybody knew he brought in Miriam Adelson. He was taking money from her. And we know why. It was for Israel.
Yeah.
How is it surprising to anybody?
How much did Miriam Adelson give to the Virginia redistricting no push? I mean, anything? $1? $10? No.
Did you get $200 million from her?
But if foreign policy's on the line, she opens up the checkbook. It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, like, there's Trump in like the 80s was like, yeah, we should like bomb
100 million
facilities. Like,
between 100 and 111 million to pro-Trump super PACs to help him get elected.
How much has she given to Gallrun in Kentucky there against Thomas Massey? It's
Has she?
millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Trump said Miriam Adelson offered him another $250 million to run for a third term.
That's funny. This is
Part of me I want him to run for a third term just for the lulz, for the memes, because like he can't win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then it just means that it just. Actually, I think he can run, but I don't think he can win. Like, so technically he can run, and then if he wins, just nothing happens.
Last night we were talking about how corporations have personhood, and I was just I didn't have a lot to say about it, but upon further, inspection, it's that they have the rights to free speech and unlimited campaign donations. Campaign donations,
And that's a good thing.
Corporate depends on who you ask or how they do it.
What's wrong with it?
Because they don't have a face behind it.
The issue is that Timcast Media is a corporation. It has employees. It's not possible to exist as a sole proprietorship. The corporation has a right to publish this news and can't be stopped by the government from doing so. That's free speech. In that, the company can spend money to promote political campaigns. It can't give money to a candidate beyond campaign limits, but it can promote through its own enterprise a candidate that it likes.
Yeah.
If that wasn't allowed, we would be barred legally from talking about Donald Trump.
Well, you would just have to the liability would be on you instead of the corporation.
No, you don't understand. You can't have a 40-person enterprise without a legal a structure behind it. It's not possible for a sole proprietorship to have a company.
I'm sorry. A sole proprietorship is a company.
A sole proprietorship is a sole proprietorship.
You're talking about an LLC, like a sole.
No, that's a corporation. A sole prop would be I, as a private individual, doing a show and then paying contracts to people would not be financially, structurally, or managerially possible. The corporate structure is so that there is an entity for which people are employees of that serve the end goals of that entity.
But you would still be able to talk about Trump. You personally would still be fine talking about whatever you want.
But we couldn't put it on the show because the show would be a corporate entity publishing things. And if it couldn't campaign, then the argument is any positive speech for a candidate would be campaigning and it would be illegal.
That's like a Supreme Court conversation.
They already had it and they've already agreed.
I mean, how many times have we
a
sat here and talked about
newspaper is a
candidate?
corporation. The newspaper publishes an amalgam of voices, and they are allowed to advocate for whoever they want. They have free speech rights. And that corporation can spend as much money as they want putting out a message that they deem appropriate.
But time, like us talking about it, is different than paying money to the campaign.
You can't pay money to the campaign. You're misunderstanding.
Right, but you said we couldn't talk about Trump.
You misunderstand. No one can give, no money, no entity, no structure can give more money than the FEC limits to a single candidate. What you're referring to with corporate personhood is through this company's free speech right, I can spend $1 million of corporate money making videos saying Trump is the best, putting up billboards saying Trump is the best, and airing commercials saying Trump is the best. I can then go every single night on my show talking about why you should vote for Trump or any other candidate. If I was not allowed if the company did not have free speech, we would not be able to talk about Trump at all because they would argue it's campaigning in any sense. That's why the Supreme Court said corporations have free speech. The New York Times, without free speech, could not do news, period. So corporations have to be able to have freedom. And in fact, freedom of the press is in the First Amendment. The press is a company. Companies have a right to say things.
So just I was looking into this real quick just to see. So the reports of about $20 million commitment involving Miriam Adelson, John Paulson, and a guy named Singer through this Republican Jewish coalition PAC to spend against Thomas Massey in Kentucky.
Wow, $20 million?
$20 million.
That's what they've committed so far, or what they've spent so far?
That's what they've committed. But I mean, this is when it's down to the wire now because you're less than a month out from the primary.
So if you could only give, so they're not giving to a campaign,
no.
They're just funding signs that say
PACs.
Massey bad. What?
They're doing it through PACs. That's what they're doing because I mean they can give unlimited amounts of money to these PACs, and it's either pro Galrein or anti Massey. Advertise mostly ads.
Well, you think Massey's going to win though?
I do. Yeah. I'm from that district.
But so if a corporation gets unlimited funds, that's the problem.
Why is that a problem?
Because they buy elections.
No.
Well, we might be able to.
Should I be allowed to buy a billboard?
Yeah.
Okay, so you agree with my right to spend unlimited money on getting someone elected? My company has money.
Personal money on stuff. I don't care what you spend it on.
Is not the business my entity with my personal money?
It's an entity separate from you.
And who's the controlling officer of that?
You at that point.
And so the money is under my control.
Yes.
So the corporate entity under my control can put up billboards as it has, right?
Yeah, I know that is the law. I'm just saying the problem with quagmire we're in right now is because of corporate finance.
That's just not true, not correct.
Well, I mean, this could be an example of that. Like if Massey pulls out, like
people are allowed to spend their money on messaging that they want.
It's the argument goes back to I don't know who it was doing the whistle stop. It was a presidential campaign in the United States, and he was spending his own money on the campaign. He's like, why can't I spend my money on this campaign? It made sense for him to be able to do that.
You can,
but that gets then extrapolated to corporation. Then legally now
So all you're arguing for in the end result of this is Miriam Adelson will extract corporate profits under her name and then spend the money. You're adding a piece of paper. It doesn't do anything.
But even with all that money spent, so they're way outspending Thomas Massey there in Kentucky. And you go to Polymarket, I mean, just as a temperature check, right? This isn't a poll, but you have people putting their money down. Thomas Massey's still 70% winning the primary. And that's not an ad, guys. This is just me just looking it up. So
we're going to go to your Rumble rants and Super Chats, so smash the like button, share the show and all that good stuff. The uncensored portion of the show is at rumble.com/Timcast IRL at 10 p.m. Dark Pine says, Tim, for the end of times, Trump is the Antichrist culture war. You should bring on Joel Webbin and Donnie Discerned. That's a good idea. And we could probably do it. We're thinking about doing this with a live audience in D.C. It'd be very fun. Vic the Fix says, wife and I went to TPUSA in Cebus with Vivek last night. Packed house, and it was great. Lefties asked 3-minute questions, and Vivek responded accordingly and still claimed VR avoided answering. Retards all. Interesting. All right. Astro Fox says, are any of you familiar with what is happening in Corpus Christi, Texas, and their water shortage? Estimates predict 500,000 people will be without fresh water by late 26, early 27. Needs national attention. Wow, really?
First I've heard of this.
I am unfamiliar.
It was due to flooding.
That it wiped out their water sources?
Maybe, I don't know.
Third Eye Rebellion says, "Hey crew, we're in the delivery room with our with baby boy Hunter, baby number 3. Love y'all. Congratulations."
Let's go.
We have a soundboard now.
Welcome to the world, young patriot. As soon as you can start babbling, it's time to serve this country. Get after it.
Start a YouTube channel.
Start a podcast. Start a Rumble show. Do whatever you need to do.
D-Sage says, "Nick, how dare you doubt the daddy of big booty Latin America, pimp on a blimp for president?" Okay.
The Alex Stein Exploratory Committee.
Is that? Oh, it is. Disgruntled Vet says, "Did you hear about an Islamic knife attacker who Canada allowed to travel to Mecca? Please tell me this is fake. Is that true?"
An Islamic knife attacker
Was allowed to travel to Mecca? I have not heard.
Was allowed? That's like half of them.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, what I mean?
Yeah, that's like all that's called Muslims. Well, are you new around here? Like,
562 says, "Can we make Ian actually pay attention to Luke for like a year before he's allowed to scream Luke's talking points in random order?"
Luke Rudkowski? I've been following Luke Rudkowski since 2011, since they were trying to get us into Syria, and they were like, he's got gas weapons. I don't know. He was one of the most vocal forces to keep us out of there at that point.
A force indeed.
Yeah, Luke Rudkowski.
What do you think, Nick? You think we're getting crushed in the midterms? You think Democrats are going to take everything?
Just speaking candidly, we got to get out of the freaking war, okay? It's just not good. It's very difficult, and I'm sure I'm going to get blasted for this. It's very difficult to go up to young people right now and then make them feel like we're winning. It's just, I'm sorry, not about not winning the war, but about just winning in general, like motivating them.
I think that's largely due to cultural issues around like marriage and dating.
Okay, but how does any of this help that? I mean,
No, it doesn't. But it's also just, it's like a non sequitur. It's like a different thing.
so I mean, we can make this argument like, oh yeah, no, if you're a service worker, you're not paying tax on tips anymore, and then no tax on overtime, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, especially right now, people are not feeling it. They're not feeling it. Everything is, especially gas. I mean, that's one of the largest expenses. I mean, I remember the days of being broke, where it was like I had to make sure I had just like $1 left on my credit card so that the pump would take it, and I could run it up to whatever it is, and I would have to pay that down in order to get the next tank of gas. Like, unless that is fixed, which I highly doubt it is going to be by November, there are a lot of people that are going to be too deflated to go vote. I'm just saying.
yeah, I totally agree. I mean, like, okay, yes, within the Republican Party, when you pull the Republican Party, like the voters are still on board with the Trump agenda. That is true, but it is also true that I mean, there's this has a demoralization effect across, especially young people. And the lesson that needs to be learned, I'm aware that the average primary voter in a Republican primary is 65 years old, but you do have to be aware this just took Orban down. Like, an Orban, in our world, Orban's super popular. Everyone loves. It's a super conservative firebrand or whatever. And if you talk to young Hungarian right-wingers, specifically right-wingers in Hungary, young people, they were kind of fed up with it. And this was surprising for me to hear because, again, like over here, he's like the darling. But that's how you lose a country, is when the young people start to tap out.
Boomers on Fox News love this war, love every part of it. It's their favorite thing ever, and they can get off to it at night, right? When they go and watch Sean Hannity.
Or the new Hannity podcast.
Yeah. Well, no, that's been my number one problem with the war, above all else, is that it's rewarding the worst people in American politics. Yep. Like, even if this goes swimmingly, even if this comes out, you still just basically rewarded literally the worst people in American politics were lining up to say, well, I hate Trump, but he's making, broke clocks right twice a day. It's like, that's what I hate most about this, is the entire apparatus that we're trying to destroy right now was overjoyed with it. So again, which jury's still out, but even if this ends up being a resounding success, I'm still just very upset. I really am. It's just very frustrating.
Let's grab some more. We got a few minutes before the Uncensored. Marussia says, "Did you see Asmongold's lengthy rant against Mary Morgan, calling her a femcel and worse for her post related to men who want to become fathers?" I think that I did. He called her a femcel. It's funny because she's a tradcath who thinks universal literacy is a mistake. So I don't, but her post was taken to the extreme end of her argument to go after. I'm not saying that she's right necessarily. There is a tendency, women tend to be more baby crazy than men are, and all of these guys got offended. I think it has more to do with the fact that young guys desperately want to be dads, especially more so than women now, and it's very difficult. Mary became the avatar of their anger when she said that men who want possession of children who are not their own are predators. But when you think about that, like, Why would a man want possession of a child that is not his own? I think that's the point she's making. People started countering with all sorts of stuff. And then when I said that her point's being taken to an extreme and she's right in tendency, then all of a sudden people started spam blasting my name. And I'm like, just chill the F out. Calm down.
Well, she said that men have no paternal instinct until
they have their own children.
Which I think.
And agree. That's why
I disagree with that personally. I'm experiencing it. I don't have any kids.
Well, I think there's exceptions. Obviously, there's some great dads that come along after the fact. But I mean, that's why men again have this dispensation to when a woman has a high body count, they're like, what's going on here? Because that's part of it, yes, socially, but part of it's just evolutionary. It's when you're trying to determine who your kid is, it matters if you know who your wife slept with. This isn't.
I think the issue is largely that there's a lot of guys who want to have families. The data shows that men want to be dads more than women want to be moms today. So among Gen Z especially.
True.
And because of these structures, men are having a very hard time starting families because women don't want to. So then Mary comes along and says men don't have paternal instincts to a bunch of guys who are buying a video game where they get to be the savior of a young child and be a father figure. So of course they're going to get offended by what she's saying.
Yeah, I guess, when you put it I don't know specifically what her argument was, but I mean, the state of young women right now, it's I'm taken and I have a lovely woman, but again, I feel like Lost Shepherd and the actual. I remember being on Hinge. it's literally walking through a minefield.
Well, look at what happened. Look at that news that happened.
Having more guys now.
That's true.
With the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Counterterrorism at DHS, right? This 29-year-old girl boss type figure is still out there. Did you see this article today?
What happened?
Oh my God! So she ended up she got busted on a sugar daddy website.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, which it's I understand. It's okay, some scorned guy that if you're 70 years old and you want to date some hot ass young 29-year-old or whatever, you're probably gonna have to pay for it, right? It don't come for free. There's a trade off, but. You're the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Counterterrorism at DHS, and, you shouldn't be in that position.
Yeah.
But you're so 29 years old, zero prospects for children at all, and really have no interest in it seems. And that's...
But I guarantee in a one-on-one conversation, she'd be lambasting men or saying, we need more traditional values in society.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's the most vocal people that are we need more traditional values are either men covered in tattoos with ear piercings. It's okay, dude, well, you sold out your traditional aesthetics. That's besides the point. Or it's women that are 30 and then suddenly they become Christians and everything. Yep. And now they're lecturing everyone on traditional values. And it's can everyone just cut the LARPing for a second here? What is going on? But, again, no offense to our tattooed friends. There's plenty of them and I love them. But it's I'm saying it's difficult to lambast the decline of traditional aesthetics when you are not representing that, personally. That's kind of the point I'm making. With women, it's on the extreme where women have already kind of jumped the shark, so to speak. And then now they're retroactively going and lecturing men for not participating in traditional values. It's you're 30.
Maybe we could get Mary and Zach, who's Asmongold, to do a show.
He didn't travel.
War. What's that?
He didn't travel.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. Seeing those two together would be really.
I think it's I said Mary was right in tendency that across all generations, if I walk down the street with my baby, guys do not bat an eye. They don't say anything. Every single woman are, but among Gen Z women, where I think a lot of the young gamers are, women are who wants kids? Kids are bad.
Yeah.
And guys are I just want to have a family. So she's getting all of their ire, but I think when you look at older generations and you put it all together, it's largely correct. I say largely because obviously to call guys predators for wanting to have kids, well, she said specifically kids who are not their own, which I don't understand why people are freaking out over that statement. Any guy who's I'm going to take that child who's not mine. It's okay, well, there's certain circumstances of adoption I understand, but...
If a dude's I really want to be a babysitter. I just want to babysit kids. That would be kind of...
That'd be weird.
It'd be weird.
Yeah, would you drop your kid off at a nursery that's all men? I'd be no.
No, actually, no.
So I understand her statement about
that's
that.
What she was, if that's what
desiring a child that's not yours. But I want to protect kids when they're not mine. That's my paternal instinct is I'm looking around when I see your kid. I'm not going up to him going, oogie googie. I want to make sure.
The thing that really irks me on it is that instead of saying Mary Morgan said thing, people are posting Tim Pool's employee Mary Morgan said thing because they're trying to use my name for algorithmic optimization.
That's crazy.
It's just so annoying. It's Mary's her own person. She doesn't even live here. She does a different show. So it's if you want to complain about what Mary said, you can complain about what Mary said. you know?
It's like they're trying to tell on the teacher. Tim.
No. It's that they're like, if I say Mary Morgan, people are going to say who. So I'm going to put Tim Pool's name here so that we get clicks. And then they wrote me into her opinion.
Nope.
It's like,
It's Mary's time.
it's her opinion. She's allowed to have it.
Mary Cast.
Let's see. Alan Rogers says, Tim, the case is not dropped. Stop lying. You were paid via tenant media millions of dollars by Russian intelligence agents. Fake. So Merrick Garland goes on TV, announces this claim that 2 Russians who currently live in Eastern Europe that no one's ever seen before were funneling money through a Tennessee company that no one knew about, and were licensing a show at a below market rate. And then a month after the election, told my lawyers that there is no investigation, there will never be one, and then issued a formal statement to Lauren Chen 6 months later that there's no current investigation and the case is closed. The case is dropped. So it remains cold and open, but there's no one to even investigate. There's no evidence it ever happened. There's no known individuals who did it. The whole thing is just one day they claimed a thing happened with zero evidence, and that was the end of it.
Did somebody literally just pay you to say this? To ask this question?
Oh, yeah, Super Chat gave me $5. But thank you for giving the opportunity to once again state on the record. So a Tennessee-based company hosted by a prominent conservative commentator offers to license one of our shows, which still exists, by the way. And so basically they could run it live on their channel, and then we would keep doing everything we were normally doing. I do license deals all the time, and we said, sure. And then Merrick Garland claimed it was actually Russians who were doing it the whole time, despite never producing any evidence it was Russians. Not one tiny morsel of proof ever, because it was a psyop they had been trying to game for a long time to go after someone like Dave Rubin, Benny Johnson, me, because how do you smear us otherwise? Benny's not a white supremacist or even that far right. He's a mainstream conservative guy. I'm not a white supremacist, mixed race, kind of liberal in a lot of ways. There's no real smear to go about it. You can call a bunch of conservatives fascists or whatever, but not us. So they tried to figure out some way to do it, and I'm sure they would have liked to have gotten many more people. And their stupid scheme did not work beyond that. Let's grab one more. Broadcast Mediocrity says Texas Republicans aren't responsible for the redistricting cascade. Texas Democrats sued the Republicans in 2020 to delay redistricting. This was resolved in 2025, creating a national opportunity for Democrats to shift blame. Not only that, but the redistricting in Texas was it made red districts somewhat redder. So they would remain competitive in the midterm election, and Virginia just wiped out 4 seats. It's very different. But we're going to do the uncensored portion of the show, so smash the like button, share the show. It'll be at rumble.com/Timcast IRL. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Nick, do you want to shout anything out?
Don't stop saying mass deportations, even though people are trying to convince you to stop saying it because it doesn't sound politically expedient anymore. We don't save our country without mass deportations, guys. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming, Nick. Always a pleasure, man. At Ian Crossland, you'll find me at Ian Crossland. Go to graphene.movie. Check out the new movie trailer. That's coming out pretty soon. Carter, you're working on the music with it.
Yes.
Looking forward to it.
Yes, got a few things in the pipeline. You can find me at Carter Banks everywhere and at Carter Banks Official everywhere else. Follow at Trash House Records on YouTube. Also, more stuff coming out there. Tate.
Yeah, follow me on X and Instagram at Real Tate Brown, and I am also a deportation cell. So Trump administration is doing great work, so let's not let up the gas. Let's just step on it harder.
Right on. Well, that's everybody, right?
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you at rumble.com/Timcast IRL right now. Thanks for hanging out.